using digital payment services in the Vietnamese market. We started off from piloting consumer finance loans amongst the LMI segments of Vietnam. After that, we moved on to getting a positive response from the market. MSC and Momo went on to pilot test nano insurance products in the market. Then we moved on to do digital saving products in the market using the same VFS platform. In this manner, the IT program has helped Momo to onboard 400,000 new LMI users in its mobile platform. The MetLife Foundation wants to continue exploring the various social, economic, and policy issues that people from the LMI segments from Bangladesh, Vietnam, Malaysia, and China face. I'm amazed at how we have digitally advanced in the past couple of years, not just across the globe, but also in Bangladesh. As of February 2023 data, there are around 200 million registered mobile wallets in Bangladesh alone. We are transacting $340 million every day through mobile banking channels, again, just in Bangladesh. Agent banking channels too have gone a long way here. We are now operating over 12 million bank accounts and transacting more than $175 million every day through agent banking channels. However, we have a very large population and a lot of people still needs to be financially included. Keeping this in mind, MetLife continues to seek answers to critical questions. How do issues such as lack of strong pension schemes, poor financial education, low access to social protection and social norms constrain many people's abilities and agencies to make the right financial decisions for them? In view of the above, we have positioned the MetLife Foundation's IT program aiming towards a sustainable digital financial ecosystem in Bangladesh and the other countries. Again, I would like to welcome you all to the IT Global Learning Event, who believe in the advancement and progress of low and moderate income segments across Bangladesh and Global South. We want to leverage on the existing and new technologies that come up to travel that extra mile to make an impact solving the puzzles of digital financial inclusion together. Thank you. Next we have amongst us now Mr. Sunil Bhatt, who's the associate partner here at MSC, will be presenting on the learnings from the IT program, including adaptation during the pandemic. Mr. Sunil, please come on stage. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Sorry. So, my name is Sunil Bhatt, and I work as an associate partner in MetLife Consulting, the India office. And today I would like to talk a little bit on the learnings from the IT program. So, MSC implemented the program in two countries, Bangladesh as well as 2018, and we have some rich insights which I would like to share with you today. So how it all started, right? In 2018, MetLife Foundation commissioned a study in six markets, and the whole purpose of the study was to understand the needs and preferences of low-income segments in these markets, right? And these are all developing nations, and the idea was to understand what does the customer need, what kind of products and services does the customer use. What is the kind of support that financial service providers in each of these countries provide, and what is the further support that they require to serve the low and middle income segments in a much better way. So with these objectives we set out, and the result of this large study, I would say, was the IT program, the Innovate, Implement and Impact program, and the program has a complete focus on the low and middle income segments. And over the last 5 years, we started in 2018, most of the focus was on customers and clients like Banu or Vin, who is a taxi driver in Vietnam. And the whole idea was to see how we can make them more financially healthy, right? So I'll talk more about these segments in the coming slides as well. So post the study, the project was launched in four countries: Bangladesh and Vietnam, where the countries where MSC implemented the project, and in other two countries, which is Malaysia and China, it was UNCDF who sort of ran the project. So today I'll just talking about our learnings from Bangladesh as well as Vietnam. So if you see, these are some statistics, and all of us who know these statistics. Both Bangladesh and Vietnam fairly populated countries with a high density population, mainly when it comes to cities. And you would also see that the number of people who are living below the US $10 mark, it's fairly high. Like in Bangladesh, it's about 95% of the population, and in Vietnam, it's about 44%. If you look at the banking numbers as well, so more than 50% of the people are banked, right? So that essentially means that there is access to financial services, but the whole purpose of the program was to improve usage, right? And in many countries, South countries, you see that this number is going up, the access to financial services. Again, when you come to rural population, see that significant amount of population stays in rural areas, and then they have their own challenges of infrastructure and connectivity and other challenges which sort of deter them from joining the digital bandwagon, so as to say. And finally, one important metric is on the smartphones. Like if you see countries like India where digital financial inclusion has kind of taken off, the role played by smartphones has been very critical. And if you look at Vietnam as a market, right, about 90 million smartphones. I think almost the entire population has smartphones. The same when you look at Bangladesh, data from the census says that 56% has access to mobile phones, and out of that, only half of them have access to smartphones. So it's again sort of penetrating. So these were I think some of the metrics will sort of shape multiple projects, and it also influenced the I3 project as well. So together in both these nations together, 143 million. This was the kind of population that we were up against. So the innovation had to happen to this segment, which is the low and mid segment. So typically the population or segments earn between $10 per day. So when we started the I3 program, right? These were the pillars we had focused on, right? The first one is the customer pillar, which was essentially on the kind of innovation and on the kind of products which these segments require. So what are their needs, right? How do you design the products? How do you simplify their interfaces? So the whole effort on making usage better for these segments. So that was the first pillar. The second pillar of the program focused a lot on institutions, because we needed anchor partners here in Bangladesh as well as Vietnam, and to sort of implement these projects. And to that extent, we partnered with multiple organizations. And the support under this pillar was to help institutions understand these segments better. Because what we understood there was a lot of interest in people to sort of work these segments, but when it comes to understanding, it was a little bit slow or low about these segments. And the third was industry, because we were sure that with work in both the markets, a lot of information and a lot of insights would come out. And we also wanted to engage actively with the industry players as well. So the kind of event that you are seeing today, we ran about 5 to 6 events in the course of the project, just in Bangladesh and Vietnam together. So this was mainly to facilitate those learnings and to impart it to the industry players. So if you look at the target numbers, direct impact as well as indirect impact. So 400,000 was the target, which the project sort of expected to reach out to, and 2 million indirect impact. But then I'll talk to you about the numbers. We kind of surpassed this by multiple levels. So these were some of the partners with whom we worked with in both the countries put together. So you will see a combination of government players, wallet players, banks, NBFCs, financial institutions, enabling organizations, right? A lot of them, and a lot of them be like familiar names as well. So these were some of the numbers. I'll not get into the details, but then if you look at the direct impact, the program was about to reach out to about 12 million beneficiaries. And a lot of it was through our work with A2I, Aspire to Innovate in Bangladesh, wherein we helped people to receive digital payments. And spend, save, borrow, plan, enable. These are the facets of financial health. Because if you have to improve the financial health of low-income segments, so we have to sort of enable each of this. And the program also had an indirect impact on about 43 million users across both the markets put together. So let's play a small video and it will narrate the story of Banu, one of the recipients of A2I 11 program.
To reduce vulnerability of individuals and families. Through its social safety net program, the government has been trying to support the most disadvantaged people in Bangladesh. In the past few years, the government has been striving to digitize payments of safety net programs to bring more efficiency and provide greater convenience. Digitization of social payments has reduced the hassle for beneficiaries who previously had to travel far and wait in long queues to collect their stipends.
রাত হয়ে গেছে টাকা নাই পরে কত বাকি দিয়েছে বলতে যাও পরে দিন আবার সকালে গেছি সেই টাকা হয়ে যায় আবার বিকেল দিছি তো এরকম টাকা আনতাম পরে ইউনিয়ন ডিজিটাল সেন্টার হইছে অনেক থেকে টাকা আমরা আনি আঙ্গুল সুবিধা হইছে আঙ্গুল সাপ দে আঙ্গুল সাপ দিয়ে পরে আঙ্গুল সাপ দিয়ে টাকা আস চলে
After digitization, beneficiaries can directly withdraw their money at the Union Digital Centers through biometric authentication. This ensures that the money is paid in full to the right person, saving time and money of the beneficiary.
আমি মোহাম্মদ কামাল হোসেন, উদ্যোক্তা জিনার সেন্টার পলাশ। এখান থেকে আমরা বিশেষ করে বয়স্ক ভাতা, বিধবা ভাতা, প্রতিবন্ধী ভাতা, এই ভাতাগুলো আমরা ইউনিয়ন সেন্টার থেকে দিতে পারছি। এটুআর মাধ্যমে আমরা এই কার্যক্রমগুলো এখানে পরিচালনা করছি এবং আমি ব্যক্তিগত হিসেবে আমারও একটা এলাকাতে ইনশাআল্লাহ একটা পরিচিতি হচ্ছে, অর্থনৈতিক একটা সন্তুষ্ট হচ্ছে। আমি এই ভাতা থেকে এনআরবিসি ব্যাংক আমাকে একটা কমিশন দিচ্ছে।
With the support from MetLife Foundation, Microsafe Consulting partnered with Access to Information to ensure that 130,000 beneficiaries receive their payments with ease. Under the IT program, we are working with A2I on digitization of social safety net payments to significantly improve the lives of the low and moderate income segment of the society.
Thank you. So I'll quickly talk about the lessons that we learned from implementing this program. So the first one is on spend. So what we saw is COVID specifically had a lot of impact on the spending patterns of people. And even if you look at the RMJ sector workers itself, like 4 million of them, about 25% of them were receiving payments digitally before the pandemic. But after the pandemic, in the midst of the pandemic, it was close to 100%, right? And the agents played a lot of role in these agents of Bikash or Rocket or Nagad, take any one of them. When you look at savings were also like extremely important for people. And in a lot of communities, savings sort of, people relied on savings when their income kind of went low. And as part of the project, we have worked with Players Like Foundation to design about 4 to 5 savings products. So when it comes to borrow, right, the program also observed that if you are asking for a lot of collaterals from these segments, it becomes extremely difficult for them. So we have worked as part of this program with a few providers like MetLife Foundation and also with Momo in Vietnam to design digital credit products, which helps to give small ticket credit items, credit loans to people where the requirement of collateral is nil. And this really helped. And finally on insurance as well, right? People had to depend a lot of insurance on insurance. But during COVID, we also worked with players such as Momo to launch a couple of insurance products in partnership with insurance providers, which also sold like hotcakes. So I think if they are sort of we design products which are like which have a small premium amount and which are affordable, we see that there is a lot of uptake in the policies. When it comes to institutions, the program also help organizations to understand the psyche of low-income customers, because without which it was difficult. Because if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, there is a lot of potential. But since institutions do not understand the nature and the behavior of these customer segments, they generally do not want to innovate for them. So the program to that extent also help them to do that. And when you look at the industry as well, the program also worked with the industry players. Now, if you look at COVID itself, it provided a golden opportunity for regulators and also for the government to push a lot of digital products. And the kind of channels that are built by Bangladesh in the form of eKYC really helped towards pushing large stimulus packages. So we saw that there was a lot of renewed interest from the industry as well. And to that extent, programs such as these also help to educate the regulators and also the government on the benefits of focusing on these low-income segments. And we conducted a lot of learning events as well. And dissemination happened in the form of a lot of collaterals will be generated. And also a lot of learning events which happened in the field, which happened in the offices to educate the staff of people. We conducted a few brown bag lunch as well with organizations. So all with the aim and intention to enhance their understanding of LMI segments and to innovate and help them innovate. So I would like to leave you with a quote from Dr. Yunus, which especially talks about the kind of support which poor people require and how institutions can really help make this journey simpler. So thank you very much, and I would also like to thank all the partners who supported us extensively both in Bangladesh as well as in Vietnam. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sohil. That was a very good presentation. Please allow me to welcome the keynote speaker and special guest, Mr. Ala Ahmed, on stage. Mr. Ahmed is the CEO of MetLife Bangladesh, and he will be talking about the IT program and MetLife Foundation's contribution to Bangladesh. Mr. Ala Ahmed, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. I am very happy and excited to be present in this program. And MetLife Foundation is actually financing the whole program across 4 countries. So it's a good opportunity to really share what is MetLife's thought process behind it and what is MetLife's Foundation's thought process behind it. So I really want to welcome all the guests from outside Bangladesh. I understand we have guests from Vietnam and from Malaysia as well. Really warm welcome to participants from both the countries. And I'm sure you have seen MetLife logo, right? The signboards in those places. I was fortunate to work in one of the markets like in Malaysia before. So it's very close to my heart to see how actually MetLife is working to improve the quality of lives in the markets that we work in. So we started our business, like we sold our first insurance business back in 1868. So it's more than 150 years. And if you can think of whatever happened in between, like 2 great wars, like 2 great pandemics, and many more pandemics probably we don't even know, not written in the history book, but Spanish flu, the COVID, they all came along the way. The way MetLife operates, we always focus on sustainability of our business and sustainability of the community that we work in. That actually helped us to survive all these great events and still going strong. Today, we operate in more than 40 countries, and you'll be very happy to know, most of you probably know, those are not from Bangladesh. We are in this market for more than 70 years. So we started opened our door in 1952, and since then we've grown from strength to strength. Thanks to the ever-increasing need for financial protection of the country. And today we serve more than 1 million individuals and more than 800 corporate clients. We provide financial protection. We have tremendous contribution in the economy of the country. And one interesting information is that our contribution to GDP can be measured in 0.1% of the GDP comes through MetLife. So if MetLife is not there, you may think of like if our country cannot achieve 7%, just 6.9%, you can blame MetLife for that because we probably didn't do our work. So we focus on sustainability. We are very conscious about our efforts that needs to happen for the community that we work in. And MetLife Foundation is actually our philanthropic arm to work across the globe. So the purpose is actually to separate business from this part so that it can run without any bias or any conflict of interest. And through MetLife Foundation, since 2012, we have engaged in very good number of initiatives. And I'm really happy to see that the impact I3 program is creating in Bangladesh, and I'm sure such impact is also felt in Vietnam. When I was looking at the digital adoption, I was reflecting on what we have done from the business side. Right? It's not only doing it for the broader community. In our business, if you think about pre-COVID, we only had 17 to 18% of our premium collection happening through digital channels. Today, last month actually we collected more than 67% of our premium through digital channels. That includes Nagad, that includes Bikash, EFT program that is done through Central Bank, and agent banking, and these are the few medias that actually used. So I am dreaming of a day when we will be able to collect 100% of our premium through digital channels, end-to-end digital channels. And I am sure programs like this will enable our broader community to get into that financial inclusion, get into that financial health, and build a resilient community where you can operate together. So we focus on financial protection of individuals and employees of big corporates or smaller corporates. At the same time, we participate in the building of the community. We want to see it healthier. I think this is a good opportunity session for all of us here to learn from each other how we can do better. And I can assure you that MetLife Foundation will continue to support in these greater efforts. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Ahmed. That was a very good speech. Thank you. Dear guests, let me take the opportunity to talk about our special guests for today's events alongside the list of panelists that we have for today. Let me start off by talking about our chief guest, Mr. Shazia-ul-Haq, who is the Honourable Additional Director of Bangladesh Bank. Mr. Haq wears the hats of the Innovation Committee member of the Regulatory FinTech Facilitation Office, which is also known as RFFO. The innovation team looks after disruptive solutions and tries to bring them under the regulatory direction of solutions that can support innovation and may reach the scale to solve for Bangladesh. He will also join us in the panel to share his views as the regulator. Welcoming our special guest, Mr. Salim Hussain, the Managing Director and CEO of BRAC Bank Limited. He has over 35 years of diversified local and international banking experience. In a short time from his joining BRAC Bank, Mr. Salim led the bank to the top tier of the scheduled commercial banks in Bangladesh, which focuses on the financial inclusion of the LMI segment. We also have another very special guest, Mr. Vion Viet Lee, who has come all the way from Vietnam to join us. He is the CEO and founder of Vietnam Insurance Finance Online Limited, also known as VIFO. Dean is the CEO and founder of VIFO, and he manages the SaaS platform to connect and provide full-scale solutions for insurance stakeholders. Over 19 insurers and thousands of customers benefited from the company's solution, providing digital insurance with high efficiency and low costs. We want to welcome our special guest, Nasima Akhtar Nisha, as well, who is the founder and president of Women and E-commerce platform. It's a very famous platform here in Bangladesh right now. She started the platform back in Facebook in 2017. This platform integrates women entrepreneurs from all corners of Bangladesh to showcase and sell their products in a national level platform. At present, she has 36,000 members enrolled with her. Next, we have another special guest, who is Mr. Onir Choudhury, who is the policy advisor of the A2I program of the ICT division and the cabinet division of Government of Bangladesh, which is supported by UNDP. In this capacity, he leads the formation of whole of society innovation ecosystems of Bangladesh through massive technology deployment, extensive capacity development, integrated policy formulation, whole of government institutional reform, and an innovation fund. Now we would like to welcome, we have another panel member, who is Mr. Imran Ahmed, who is the Deputy Executive Director of Shakti Foundation for Disabled and Disadvantaged Women. He is responsible for managing all programs of the organization, including microfinance, SME, health, and climate change. He also oversees the training department and leads the new initiatives unit, which is focused on providing better services and digital inclusion to Shakti's clients. We have another person who is from Vietnam, Minh Trang. She is the program manager of Women's Initiative for Startups and Entrepreneurship in Vietnam. It is very famously known as WISE in Vietnam. Minh Trang has worked with various international organizations and private sectors in the field of women's economic empowerment and inclusive business. As a business accelerator manager at WISE Vietnam, she manages programs that aims to empower micro-businesses, SMEs, and startups, particularly that leads women and are being led by women by providing capacity building, digital transformation, access to finance, and business matching. Then we have Ms. Nadia Ismati from Malaysia. She's the FinTech co-founder of POD. POD is a financial well-being platform to enable gig workers in Southeast Asia to save money, get access to financing, build credit trails, and consume other financial products. With a deep understanding of users' propensity to save, Pod builds an AI-enabled alternative credit scoring engine to offer Sharia microfinancing that helps gig workers. Then we have, as a panel member, we have Dr. Imanul Nabi Khan, the project coordinator of FAO. Dr. Imanul has 29 years of work experience in the development sector. He's experienced with farmers, producers organizations, also known as FPOs, which empowers and strengthens to act as an informal financial institution. Over the last 10 years, FAO has facilitated institutionalizing an apex FPO, namely Shara Bangla Krishok Society, which is SBKS, in access to market, technology, finance, and information. FAO provides them with a revolving grant. Then we have our chief guest, Mr. Shaziaul Haq, the Honourable Additional Director of Bangladesh Bank, to deliver his valuable speech as a panelist. Okay, thank you so much. We will be hearing from Shaziaul Haq very shortly. Okay. Mr. Shaziaul Haq is here with us. I would request Mr. Shaziaul Haq to please come on stage and deliver your speech. He's the chief guest and he's the Honourable Additional Director of Bangladesh Bank. A big round of applause, please.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. First of all, I am not the chief guest. Chief guest was Mr. Misbahul Haq, Executive Director of Bangladesh Bank. I am just representing him. As Allah has mentioned, he was very happy. I am not. It's not very warm feeling to represent someone as chief guest. Still with the responsibility, I will try to provide some view how from a central point of view we have seen all the initiatives have taken in Bangladesh. I would like to thank MSC, MetLife Foundation, U2I, and UNCDF for taking such kind of initiative. In our case, actually, we have a different journey. We have some different perspective why we are going through digital financial services. All of it started with importance of remittance. You know, Bangladesh is very much dependent on remittance. In 2007, we have started a project how we can increase the time of disbursement of remittance to end users. It was 96 hours at that period of time. So we have started to cut down the time, 96 hours, 72 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours. Still, it was not good enough. So we are thinking how we can do disbursement of remittance in a real time and reach the end users of all commercial banks at the same time. Okay. So we have started working with the interoperability of all the banking channels. So first we have started working with the Bangladesh Automated Check Processing System. So we have bring all the check processing system of the country under one umbrella. And we have able to cut down the time to 12 hours. Later we have started working on the EFT. Allah has already mentioned how EFT has helped MetLife get their payment in the digital way. So we started to cut down the time to 6 hours. And later, with the help of mobile financial services, it is almost real time now. Sending money from outside of the country and users can receive the fund at any moment of time. Later came the economic downturn of 2008. So worldwide we were thinking about how we can deepen our financial activities, financial sector. So in Bangladesh, we also have started working on that. So we introduced no-fee account. We have introduced various accounts for the marginal people, for the students, for the end users who were not taken care of before. In the process, we have also started to think how we can accommodate all the people who are not in the banking sector. Two other factors actually helped us in this time. Bangladesh was able to achieve food sufficiency at 2008 and 2009. You can remember that. So people were actually getting to save some kind of fund in their pocket. So they were thinking how they can use that fund. Reach of bank was not at the remotest area. So we have to provide a channel through which they can save that fund in some way. As well as we are seeing that private universities were getting momentum. We have many educational IT experienced young generation who needs job, who needs work. So we have started thinking all these things together. And the popularity of the mobile users were another thing which helps us to think in a different line. We have found that we have more SIM users than bank account holders. So we started to think whether these two can, we can make some kind of matchmaking between these two. And the idea of mobile financial services come up. And we see with no time how mobile financial services is getting its momentum. We also have NGO MFI for a long period of time. At that period of time when with the service of mobile financial services, access to payment was made, access to finance was created. As well as the people who were graduated through the NGO MFI, they need some kind of support from the banking sector. The 24% plus interest rate was not a good idea for those people anymore. So they need support from the banking sector where interest rate was much lower. So agent banking came up. We wanted to support those people as well as we don't want to interrupt the existing banking sector, providing pressure on them to reach the end users in the rural area. So we came up with the idea of the agent banking. So all these together actually shape up the digital financial services in Bangladesh. So after having the infrastructure, we are seeing that government has come up as a champion before anyone else. All the government payments were going through the digital channel, social safety net, pension payment, government employees payment, government business payment, all are digitized at this moment of time. So with this success, when we are getting some kind of, what can I say, feeling proud that we have done something which actually helping the people, we came with the test. COVID came up. So that was really a stress testing for us. Whether the infrastructure which we have built up is good enough to face the new challenge. With the movement restriction, it was primarily essential to make sure that all the financials in the country remain untapped. Of course, not at the level before COVID, but we have to make sure that people's lives are not affected badly. So with the digital financial infrastructure, BACH, BACPS, RTGS, and NPSB, we were able to do that. Second challenge come, many people lost their livelihood. So we have to make sure that those people's lives are not affected badly. Honourable Prime Minister came up with the idea of supporting those people. So Honourable Prime Minister provided help to 5 million people at that time. And with the help of eKYC, we were able to open their account within 10 days. Third challenge was supply and demand side of the business side was affected badly. So our export-oriented industry was also in the bad side. So it was essential to make sure that our export-oriented industry were not suffer in any way. So we are working on that, and such kind of initiatives actually help us to achieve those goals. I'm pretty sure that there are Malaysia and Vietnam, their experience will be different. Every kind has their own context. But hearing from their context, in most of the cases, what helped is actually how they are facing the challenge and in which way they come up with the solutions. We will not follow the same path, but we will know how the different path can help others and how we can also go through a different path. So I hope that after today's seminar, today's session, we will hearing from their experience, hearing from others' experience, and hearing from the industry. Bangladesh Bank will also get an idea where to go, what the missing links, and what could be achieved in coming days. We are always looking forward to hear from the market, hear from the other central banks, hear from the other digital financial service providers. From Mesbah sir, I am again hoping that this session will be a successful one, and MSC will continue to do this kind of work. MetLife will be helpful in all the digital financial services work we will do in future. With that, I hope the session will be successful and looking forward this kind of initiatives more in Bangladesh. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Shazia Haq. We would like to invite our special guest, Mr. Vionvit Lee, CEO of VIFO. He will be talking about his experience and learnings in working with the I3 program in Vietnam. Mr. Lin, please come on stage. Ten minutes for you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the MSC for inviting me to this event. It's an honor for me to be in here with you in Dhaka. And actually, short introduction about me. I'm Linh, and we are a startup in Vietnam. We start our startup in InsurTech company in Vietnam to solve the issue in Vietnam right now. As you know, every country like Bangladesh, like Malaysia, like Myanmar, like Vietnam, we have this different situation. But come up to the distribution, the developing country, there are a gap between the people trust in insurance and how to bring insurance to everyone. In Vietnam, right now, we have a population about 100 million people. And we have up to 52 different insurers in Vietnam. And it makes to the total about 1.1 million agents are selling insurance right now in Vietnam. So about 1% of population are selling insurance. But in the end, you can see the insurance penetration in Vietnam is super low, only about like 10% of population have insurance. I'm not sure about the situation in Bangladesh, but I think it's still the same. So in order to bringing insurance to everyone, we have two options. The first option, either we increase the sales workforce 10 times, that make 10 million agents selling insurance per year, or we can find a way to use technology to increase the efficiency of our salesmen 10 times. And I believe technology should be much better answer than increase the sales force. So and the thing is like because in 1 year, on average, one agency can only sell about 3 policies per year. Thus, it makes the cost for selling insurance is too high, up to 70%. What people spend for insurance are actually spent for the high commission and very ineffective operation. So we want to digitalize it by creating a single sharing platform for insurance. So in our platform, all the insurer can sharing their product online, and the agency, the customer, they don't need to download and install a lot of 10 or 52 different applications. They only need one application. They can sell the insurance product they want, and the customer, they can use one application to do the claim for all insurer. Overall, we last recent years we do all the effort to connect to the core system of the insurers core system in Vietnam. So right now, if one salesman, if one agency, or if any e-commerce, they want to sell insurance, they want to do the insurance business to customer, they don't need to spend like a month or a year to connect to the ecosystem. Only one day with us, and they already can access to the insurance platform in Vietnam. So far, last year we already breaking to the more than about 22, right now 22, over 32 non-life insurance provider on us, and we bring up to about 4,000 product online. And with the support from MSC in May in 2022, we want to bring one new product to the market. We want to bring the micro insurance, like weather insurance, like parametric insurance to the market in Vietnam, where the farmer they can buy insurance and they will be claimed, they will be paid out automatically when the weather is not good for them. They don't need to fill any claim. And after the research with the MSC, we learned a lot. Learn a lot of things from that project. First, we want to go too fast. We want to go too strong by fully automated everything, fully online everything. But after the research, we see that the farmer they know that they need insurance to protect their crop, but they still so really concerned about the trust. Like 40% of those are really concerned about the trust of the insurer. And moreover, the insurer right now, the people in Vietnam, they are maybe in other developing country, they are not believe in the digital policy. They still believe in the pen and paper policy. They still, in Vietnam, they believe in the policy with the stamp and the signature. And they believe they want to buy the insurance from offline, not online. That's what we learned. So this is some gap we learned from that from the project. And MSC will support us in the very first day. And after we had support from MSC, we also get another support from SK Group in Korea, and we were one of the rare startups were actually invested by the Ministry of Technology in Vietnam. And we also invest by other VC from Singapore and Canada. And after the investment from on the partner and what we learned from the research with the MSC, we go more forward. Like if we want to bring insurance to everyone, it's hard for us in the very first day. It's hard for us to fully digitalize, fully automated, and bring new product. Because the technology will not be the only obstacle for us, but for the belief of the customer. So we already change the direction a little bit. Right now, we are the first startup we cooperate with the National Social and Medical Insurance in Vietnam. So previously, for about 40 years or 50 years, Vietnam only want to sell the insurance, the national social insurance, without pen and paper, without a lot of level of hierarchies in the government, from the city to the district and to the world. So it requires huge work to sell this product and to train it into the customer. And also for the customer, it's similar like the video Mr. Sunil has shared. The people, when they want to purchase this product, they must come to to meet the official in the area to do a lot of paper, do the fingerprint, and a lot of sending back and forth. Thus make it very hard to actually purchase insurance. Even this product is very good for their life. And so with us, we try to, because actually we have some support from the government also. First, we already try to bring the insurance directly to their phone. We integrate our system into Zalo. The social commerce in the social platform dominate in Vietnam. So the people, they don't need to download any application, but they just need to open their social chat. They can already buy, claim insurance, and we connect with the online payment. The customer, they can use Momo, you can use all the kind of 42 different e-wallets in Vietnam to pay for their social. And instead of filling a lot of paper, luckily we have the access to the social insurance data. So the customer, instead of filling all the information about their name, their birthday, their family, they only need to fill their social security number. And with our access to the government, we can retrieve back to the customer all the information they need, and they can select the hospital they want. And all the process, those can be finished in about less than 2 minutes. And right now we work with the government also to standardize all the data of the government. When the Vietnam government trying to issue the new ID card, when they combine the old ID number with the new ID number with the chip, the QR, and the national social security number in one single card, and we are forward with that. And also with all the effort from payment, from OCR, from connection to the government, and send the confirmation e-policy, not by mail, but via SMS. So we reduce greatly the cost to sell insurance for less than about 5% of cost to income ratio. And we were targeting like to further remove the CR to less than 3% in the next month when we connect directly on the payment to the bank directly, and we bypass the payment gateway, because right now the payment gateways take about like 2 to 3% right now. But I think by next 2 months we will go directly to the banks, and we will further remove the cost to less than 3%. And that's overall about my speak, and thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Lee, for your wonderful presentation. I will be now inviting Nasima Akhtar Nisha. Ms. Nisha is the president of We Platform, and she is the joint secretary of ECAB. She will be sharing her experience in working with the I3 program and the impacts of digitalization on women entrepreneurs of Bangladesh. Thank you. Come on stage, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning to everyone. My dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I'm late because there is a sudden rain and whole Dhaka city is stuck for the raining. I am Nasima Akhtar Nisha, President Women and E-Commerce Trust We, and the Joint Secretary of ECAB, the only association for e-commerce sector. As this program is connected to the implementation of this program and connected to the COVID, so let me highlight the COVID part. Before COVID, in this sector, particular online sector, our women entrepreneurs participation was very low. I mean, if you could see the data that we had 50,000 Facebook pages, there 25,000 was female-oriented Facebook page, and 25,000 is men. I mean 50-50. But during the COVID, through our group in 2020, that time actually our member was 30,000, and that time so much negativity was spreading in every group, every sector in Bangladesh, in around outside of the Bangladesh, that COVID is, I mean, life-threatening. This person is dead. We are affected. I mean, so many negativity. That time we imposed some rules that we won't allow any negativity in our group. We should post some positivity, and we should post about our local product. And that time, actually, local product demand was actually very much high because no products is coming from outside. Import is totally off. And our group rule was from the first time that we will focus on local product. And that is the beginning. So many people are joining that group. And after that, we impose some other rules also, that we will continue our workshop through online. Before COVID, we started our online training, everything in offline platform and in Dhaka based. But during COVID, we started it in online, and we can connected all the people around the Bangladesh. I mean, from Teknaf to Tetulia, every corner of the Bangladesh, people are joined to do that workshop. And that time, so many entrepreneurs, I mean, that time they were not entrepreneurs, so many women are actually literally cried that they don't know how to run their houses from next week. They don't know how to do that. They are not an entrepreneur. They don't earning anything. Their husband's earning is off, or their job is laid off. Then I encourage them to do something which you are capable of. If you can make roti, if you can make pickle, make this and sell through our platform. And actually that was the beginning. That time so many women turned into entrepreneur because of all the online training. And June 2020, we hit 1 million member in our group, and we created 400,000 entrepreneurs during that time. And now we are 1.3 million members in our group. And from last year, we got supported from MSC. We got some training, got some funding facilities for our entrepreneur, and our entrepreneurs are getting some financial services from various financial institute. So thanks to MSC, that was helped a lot for our entrepreneur. Now COVID is gone. Now everything is normal. Now people are busy with their children's school, college, and their personal life also. So that time we need to change so many things. We need to develop some kind of strategy. We have to go root level for their skill development, for their training physically. Because now the participation in online is less than 2 years ago, because everyone is busy now. But they had the interest. They have the interest to skill. Develop their skill, and they want to do something good for the local product. And for this reason, we already started our buyer-seller meeting through online and offline. During COVID, we had connected 25 countries buyer through online, and our entrepreneurs showcased their product in Zoom and other platforms. But now the situation is changed. We are converting them to encourage them to come to Bangladesh, like so many Vietnam and other countries is already present here. So we want to invite everyone to come to Bangladesh to see our local product, because there is huge demand of our product in outside Bangladesh. So we are organizing so many buyer-seller meetings, so many workshop and summit in physical mode. And we also taking some delegation tour to outside of the Bangladesh also. In February, we went to participate Spring Fair in Birmingham, and there we took 26 women delegation team. I mean, they exhibit their product, their Bangladeshi product, and there we got a huge response. They are getting so many orders from that visit, and we are planning to do this kind of delegation more. So we need your support, we need MSC support to develop their skill, how to present their product, how to do presentation in international buyer sector. So thank you so much. I am looking forward to hearing everyone's, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nisha Appa. Now we have opened the coffee break. So this will go on for 20 minutes, and please enjoy the delicacies. Thank you. We will be coming back in 20 minutes.
কাস্টমারদের কাছে পৌঁছাতে পেরেছি এবং 800 ক্লায়েন্ট আমাদের সার্ভিস দিচ্ছে। তো আমরা মনে করি যে আমাদের ব্যবসার পাশাপাশি সামাজিক দায়বদ্ধতাটাও আছে। এর অংশ হিসেবে আমরা মেটলাইফ ফাউন্ডেশনের মাধ্যমে বিভিন্ন প্রোগ্রাম অপারেট করি 2012 সাল থেকে। এই যে প্রোগ্রামটা এখন হচ্ছে i3 প্রোগ্রাম, এর মাধ্যমে আমরা ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ইনক্লুশন সেটা দেশের মানুষের জন্য ছড়িয়ে দিতে পারছি। এবং এখানে সবচেয়ে ইন্টারেস্টিং যে পার্ট সেটা হচ্ছে ডিজিটাল ইনক্লুশন।
না ওটা করতেছি না, অবশ্যই এটা শেষ হয়ে যাওয়ার পর আপনার
প্রিমিয়াম থেকে একটা কালেকশনটা করে তা 2/3 বেশি ডিজিটালি কানেক্ট।
এটা শেষ হয়ে ঠিক আছে।
আমরা চাই যে এটা সামনের দিকগুলোতে আরও বাড়িয়ে নেব এবং এটা যদি কমিউনিটিতে ডিজিটাল ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সার্ভিসেসটা প্রসার হয় তাহলে এটা আমাদের জন্য সহজ হবে। কথাটা হচ্ছে একটা রেজিলিয়েন্ট আমাদের ইনভেস্টমেন্ট মেটলাইফের ফাউন্ডেশনের তরফ থেকে যে প্রচেষ্টাগুলো সেগুলো অব্যাহত রাখবে। আমরা বাংলাদেশে আমাদের অপারেট করার পাশাপাশি সেটার জন্য আমাদের যে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট, আমাদের যে চেষ্টা চালু রাখবো।
এখন না পরে
আমরা বাংলাদেশের ওয়ান অফ দ্য লার্জেস্ট ট্যাক্সপেয়ার ইন্স্যুরেন্স ইন্ডাস্ট্রি। আমাদের যে পলিসি হোল্ডারদের যে ফান্ডটা আছে এরপরে যার একটা বড় অংশ গভর্নমেন্ট ট্রেজারি বন্ডে ইনভেস্ট করা হয়। আলটিমেটলি এগুলো যে মেজর প্রজেক্ট আমরা জন্য কাজ হয় বা কোনো হয় তখন সে ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সাপোর্টও দরকার। মেটলাইফের প্রোডাক্টগুলো, আমাদের যে সলিউশনগুলো সেগুলো সেখানে কাজ রিসেন্টলি একটা গুগল প্লে ওই অ্যাপটা ডাউনলোড
একটু মাঝে আসতে
ইংলিশে যাচ্ছে।
Check.
So I have just one question for you. That, your opinion, what can be this is not working.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes. Thank you. For you, and that is
I think Bangladesh, especially after COVID, we now see that a lot of people are using digital financial services, which become part of the habit, stays with us. In our business, we see that are actually using digital financial services. Before COVID, you had only 18 to 20% people paying their premium through digital channels. Today, you'll be very happy to know that we have more than 66% of the customers are paying through digital channels. So that's a long way, and I think the platforms are there. Create awareness amongst our population, amongst our customers, and all the stakeholders to understand that it's really secured, it's simpler to use, and it's convenient for everyone. It makes everything very secured. So that will help us to promote financial inclusions better in the community.
thank
আমি এই জন্য সব তাদের
Hello.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum ji bhai. So, just a minute. So I wanted to know what innovation in fintech is basically required to secure the security and the right protection of the LMI segments right now.
This is not actually something separate. When the financial inclusion is happening in the market and fintech service providers are coming up with new products, these two are inbuilt with all those services. So whenever we come up with a new product, there should be right kind of customer protection, right? And they should use it in successfully how one person feels secure. So in each and every product, one financial service providers has to ensure both the things. So there is no scope for thinking about that separately. This is actually absolutely inbuilt. And in the regulations of Bangladesh Bank, it is clearly mentioned that in all the products, customer rights should be protected rightly, and service providers has to ensure customers will get his right in any period of time.
Thank you.
come back on their seats. Thank you.
একটু একটু কার্ভ করো, চেয়ারগুলো একটু এই দুই পাশে একটু ঘোরাও।
উনি সবার চেহারা দেখতে পারেন। আরো আরো
আরো আরো হ্যাঁ ঘোরাও, হ্যাঁ এই আস্তে ওইটা পড়ে যাবে। ভাইয়া ও দিচ্ছে, স্বপ্নিল একটু হেল্প করো তো। হ্যাঁ আর ওইটা ওই দুইটা ঠিক করো, সেম ভাবে করো। এটার মতো এই কার্ভ, এটার মতো কার্ভ হবে।
government institutional reform and an innovation fund. However, unfortunately, he got stuck in a meeting with the PM at the PMO office, and on behalf of him, his colleague Nahid Sharmin will be coming and talking to us. Ma'am, please come on stage.
Good morning, everyone. Faiza already informed due to the arising emergency situation of Anirbhai, that's why I will here to convey his speech. Actually, A2I core component is the catalyzed digital financial service and fintech innovations. Digital financial service sector in Bangladesh is currently experiencing a truly accelerating phase. Over the past years, it has witnessed remarkable growth, primarily fueled by technological advancements and the widespread adoption of digital financial service. The rapid expansion can be attributed to the substantial growth of mobile financial service, definitely, and the establishment of an extensive agent banking network, effectively bringing marginalized individuals into the formal financial systems. Moreover, digitalizations of various financial transactions and the promotion of digital platforms and the reduction of reliance of cash-based transactions have played a crucial role in advancing financial inclusion. The government's is continuous investment in IT infrastructure. Already you informed from the Jiavai's speech, Jiavai's praised the government for the financial transaction started very crucially. And the government continuous investment, the emergence of new open architecture with the digital public goods and digital public infrastructure further contribute to the accelerating financial inclusion efforts in Bangladesh. As we look to the future, fintechs will undoubtedly play a crucial role in shaping the smart financial ecosystem in Bangladesh. Their ability to provide innovative and user-friendly and cost-effective solution has already disrupted the traditional financial system in Bangladesh. And this trend is upward moving. In the coming years, Bangladesh has the potential to become an example for developing nations in the realm of digital finance. Government has already declared the Smart Bangladesh, you already know. Visions where the Smart Bangladesh is the cashless economy, which is the core components of the Smart Bangladesh. To achieve that vision, innovative financial products solution can be at the forefront of the gantry. We have worked, ATY have worked and continue to work jointly with Bangladesh Bank and different ministries, department and development and technology partners, financial service providers as well. And also international organizations, donor community to include Bangladesh's marginalized community in the formal economy for the better part of a decade. With UNCDF and Microsafe, we conceptualized the Financial Innovation Lab, it's called FinLab BD, that would focus exclusively on enhancing the financial inclusion of the low and middle income people of Bangladesh. At ATY, we have also continued to push the envelope on the issues such as cash-light economy, expanding the concept of financial inclusion to financial health. Digitization of SSN social safety net payment, we already saw in the presentation of Sunil Bhai. eKYC agent banking and a one-stop e-commerce platform, it's called AgShop, for all centralized bill payment facilitation platform, AgPay, among others. ATY has been instrumental in spearheading the digitization of social safety net payments and has extended support to various ministries and departments in their efforts to digitalize direct cash transfer programs, and presently, 10.8 million beneficiaries of the Department of Social Services are receiving their allowance digitally through agent banking and mobile financial services. I would like to express my gratitude to MSC for their invaluable support in assisting A2I with measuring and monitoring the financial health outcomes of SSN beneficiaries, using a set of indicators that capture the dimension of financial security, financial freedom, and financial control of beneficiaries as well. Now I move forward to the financial health to citizens. To ensure access and usage and improve development results, we need to think beyond financial inclusion, which is the financial health of the citizen. It is the time to increase focus on financial health. From access now, the focus is on use cases and innovations in making financial and non-financial services at the doorstep, including in the rural areas. Innovations within the financial service sector, such as agent banking and MFS, play a pivotal role in delivering savings and credit solutions to rural communities. To enhance the financial health of our citizens, we must also explore innovative digital savings and credit options that ensure widespread accessibility. Adopting a citizen-centric approach to financial product design, promoting innovative solutions and offering flexibility and choice-based architecture for enhancing savings into preferred accounts, particularly for social safety net beneficiaries, can significantly contribute to improving the overall financial health of citizens. Through this collaboration, both national and international stakeholders, including STEAMed organizations such as MSC and UNCDF and MetLife Foundation, and with the invaluable guidance and support from Bangladesh Bank, and we have the opportunity to cultivate a more inclusive and equitable financial ecosystem in our country. So I would like to extend special appreciation to I3 program of MetLife Foundation for fostering collaboration between Aspire to Innovate program and financial service providers in driving financial institute inclusion initiatives for low-income segments of Bangladesh. I am confident the project, I3 program, will continue to extend its support to the relevant stakeholders within the financial ecosystem, guiding our transition from financial inclusion to comprehensive financial health for all. Finally, I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to be calling me here at the learning event. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Now I will welcome our special guest, Mr. Salim Hussain, who's the Managing Director and CEO of BRAC Bank Limited. He has over 35 years of experience in the diversified local and international banking. In a short time from his joining in BRAC Bank, Mr. Salim has led the bank to the top tier of the scheduled commercial banks in Bangladesh, which focuses on financial inclusion also in the LMI segments. Mr. Salim, please come on stage. Thank you. Can we get a round of applause, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everybody. It's my pleasure and a privilege to be here and talking about a subject of great relevance to us, particularly to banks like BRAC Bank itself. I will not bore you with details around what financial resilience is all about, etc., because I think you've gone through all that this morning already. Rather, I will speak to you from the perspective of a practitioner, somebody who is already a bank, a bank that cares deeply about financial inclusion. So BRAC Bank is a 22-year-old public limited company. And like any public limited company, we have a strong objective in terms of shareholder value. In other words, we have to generate shareholder value for all our shareholders. That is quite normal. But what's different about BRAC Bank is that at the same time, we are required to balance this financial objective with a sustainability agenda as well. And sustainability for BRAC Bank is essentially it is what many of you would call ESG. So E standing for environment, which all of you probably know very well, and which our Western partners focus on greatly. But in Bangladesh and in BRAC Bank, we have equal focus on the S and the G as well. So social or society and on governance as well. Concepts that are extremely relevant in our environment, particularly in the financial institution environment. At BRAC Bank, therefore, I should remind you also that 46% of the bank is owned by the world's largest development organization, BRAC. And as a result, financial inclusion, socially responsible financing is very much part of our DNA. In fact, let me share with you that we have 2 board meetings every month, and at each board meeting, the last thing the board asks me is how much money I've made. That is just to give you a sense that although, again, as I emphasized, we are a public limited company, and shareholder value is very, very important to us, at BRAC Bank, we must balance this with the various sustainability agendas that we have. Therefore, financial inclusion is very, very important to us. We name it something different. We call it socially responsible financing. And we have a very, very strong focus on small business, which we feel is a key element of how we add value to our society. Roughly $2.5 billion of our loan portfolio, almost 50% of our loan portfolio is contributed by this one sector, small business. The bank also has a very strong focus on women's banking, which is another strong agenda for us. Almost 1.5% of the bank's loan portfolio is invested in women, and close to 5% of the bank's funding comes from this, the women's segment alone. I'm sharing these details with you to give you an idea as to how BRAC Bank's agenda actually pans out in terms of the operational operations that we do everywhere. A few years ago, my then chairman, the founder chairman of BRAC, Sir Fazle Hassan Abed, asked me why we were not doing more with regard to financial inclusion, why we could not grow more, why we cannot access more towns and villages and more smaller, lower income customers. The challenge for us then, back in 2017 and 18, was costs. Because as I said, being a publicly listed entity, the challenge is how do we manage costs? How do we ensure that we are profitable? And yet, at the same time, how do we invest in sustainable finance, in financial inclusion? We spent some time thinking about it all, and because we knew that we had a commitment to doing that. But how do we do it profitably? And at the same time, Sir Abed always used to say to us that, you know, development cannot be sustainable if it is not profitable. I think that's a very important phrase that he ingrained in my mind. I will never forget it. Development cannot be philanthropic or aid-based. Development must be commercially viable if it has to be sustainable. Therefore, for BRAC Bank, what he suggested is that we find a sustainable platform to accessing lower income people, to providing banking services across the country to small towns and villages, and at the same time ensuring that that business generated a certain return on equity as well. That was the big challenge for us. So as I said, we spent a little bit of time traveling around the world and talking to different experts, consultants, different banks, and we ended up with the realization that the only way we could progress would be to invest in a digital transformation of BRAC Bank. Digital services are the key to how we can provide banking services, financial services to all groups of people in Bangladesh itself. And therefore, our digital transformation, this is going back to 2018, was based on 4 objectives. The first was to enhance customer experience. The second was to grow revenues. The third was to reduce costs. And the fourth was to to enhance the controls over the transaction processing system itself. I shared these with you because, as I said, I am talking from a practitioner's perspective. I want to share with you how we, a public limited company, have invested many hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 4 or 5 years in this digital transformation, and how we have transformed our bank, which initially in the 2016, 15-16 era could not get into lower income businesses, lower income people in towns and villages, but today is able to do that. And we did it through technology. That really is the only solution. You may ask, is the solution all digital? No. We opted for what we call a hybrid solution. High touch and high tech as well. We opted for a solution where we would have the physical networks, branches, sub-branches, agent banking solutions, but supplemented by banking apps for the retail individual customers, and also payment apps for the commercial customers or SME customers as well. And that agenda of a hybrid, or as we call it in our bank, a phygital solution, physical plus digital together being phygital, that is the solution we have rolled out over the last 4 or 5 years, and it has been greatly successful. Let me share with you, back in January 2020, just before the pandemic, roughly 15 to 17% of all the transactions in our bank were digital or alternative in nature. We have been able to move the dial over the last 4 or 5 years, particularly over the 3 years of the pandemic, when consumer behavior in Bangladesh has also dramatically changed. Today, almost 80% of the transaction volumes in BRAC Bank are completely digital. In terms of transaction numbers, 90% of all transactions in BRAC Bank today are digital. That will give you a sense of how we have used digital technology to change the cost and platform, the cost-income ratio and the cost structure of the bank to make it more friendly towards lower-income groups, lower-income businesses, small businesses, what we call CMSME businesses, cottage, micro, small, and also medium businesses, and also the individual. Today, we are rolling out a number of other platforms and products and services, and by the end of next year, we expect that all of our small business loans will be completely digitalized. We're being supported greatly in this endeavor by the government and the central bank. Some of you may remember that a few months ago, the government has actually rolled out a new Evidence Act where digital signatures have, for the first time in this country, been institutionally accepted as in the court of law. And we expect the central bank to now follow suit and roll out appropriate regulations that we can use to digitize more and more of our lending. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I apologize if what I've been saying doesn't fit in with what you're talking about, but as I said, my perspective is slightly different, and I don't want to bore you with these many reams of paper that my colleagues have drafted for me about financial inclusion and financial resilience. I thought you would enjoy listening to what a practitioner actually does on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very good speech. I must say, can we get another round of applause, please? Okay, now we're going to move on to the felicitation of our guests, and I will be inviting all our chief guests, our special guests, and our panelists to the stage. But before that, I would like to invite Mr. Anil Gupta from MSC, who's the partner here. Sir, please come on stage. I will like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Shaziaul Haq, the Honourable Additional Director of Bangladesh Bank. Please come on stage, sir. Mr. Shaziaul Haq. Thank you, sir. After that, I know Mr. Salim Hussain has just gotten down, but I would ask him to come up on stage again. Mr. Salim Hussain from BRAC Bank, the CEO and Managing Director. I will also invite Vuong Viet Lee from Vietnam, who's the founder of Vietnam Insurance Finance Online Limited, also known as VIFO. Next is Nasima Akhtar Nisha, the founder and president of Women in E-Commerce, WE. I know that Mr. Onit Chaudhary is not here at present with us, but I would request APA to come on stage to collect the gift on his behalf. Thank you. Then I would like to invite Mr. Imran Ahmed, who's the Deputy Executive. Sorry, he's not here as of yet, but he will be joining us very soon. Next will be Miss Min Trang, who's the Business Accelerator Manager at WISE Vietnam. Okay. Then is Miss Nadia Ismadi, who's the FinTech co-founder of POD in Malaysia. Afterwards is Dr. Imanun Nabi Khan, sorry about that. He's the project coordinator at FAO. Please come on stage so that we can start with the felicitation. Thank you. Before that, let's take a group picture, sir. Anil sir, I would request you to start off with giving out the gift to Mr. Shaziaul Haq, the chief guest for the show. Thank you. Can we get a round of applause, please? After this, we have Mr. Salim Hussain. Okay. After this, can we hand out the gift to Nasima Akhtar Nisha, please? Okay, sorry. Next in line is Vuong Viet Lee. Okay. I would request APA to collect the gift on behalf of Onit Chaudhary. Next is, I would request Min Trang to collect her gift. Sir, please. Next is Ms. Nadia Ismadi, the fintech co-founder of POD in Malaysia. Last but not the least, it is Dr. Imanun Nabi Khan from FAO. Thank you so much. I will request everyone to go back to their chairs, please. Thank you. We are going to start with our panel discussion very soon, but before that, we have a special guest who is a beneficiary from the Shokti Foundation. I will request Appa to come on stage, please, to deliver your speech. Thank you. Rabe Appa, please come on stage.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমি মোহাম্মদ রাবিয়া বেগম বলছি আমি কাউন্দিয়াতে বসবাস করি জন্মস্থানই আমার কাউন্দিয়া আমি কাউন্দিয়াতে আগে একটা টিনের ঘরে ভাড়া থাকতাম আমার স্বামী মোমবাতি আগরবাতির কোম্পানিতে চাকরি করত 50 টাকা বেতনে এখন আমি অনেক কষ্টেতে চলতাম আমার 3টা ছেলে ছিল 50 টাকা বেতনে আমার সংসার চলতো না তখন আমার পাশাপাশি এক ভাবি বলে যে এখানে তো শক্তি ফাউন্ডেশনের কিস্তি আসে আপনি তো এখান থেকে লোন নিয়ে চলতে পারেন তখন আমি কর্মীকের কাছে যাই বলি যে স্যার আমাকে কি ঋণ দেওয়া যায় তখন শক্তির কিস্তি স্যার বলে হ্যাঁ আপনাকে দেওয়া যায় তখন আমি বেশি টাকা নেই না ভয়ে 3000 টাকা নিয়ে ব্যবসা শুরু করি মোমবাতির ব্যবসা মোমবাতি থেকে উপার্জন করে আমি 2টা দোকান করি মাজার শরীফে আমার স্বামী ছেলে নিয়ে দোকান একটা শুরু হয় পরবর্তীতে আবার 2টা নেই শক্তি ফাউন্ডেশন থেকে টাকা নিয়ে আমি উন্নতি হয়েছি 10,000 টাকা থেকে 3,000 টাকা থেকে শুরু করে এখন আমি 8 লক্ষ টাকা ঋণ নিছি জি এখন আমার বর্তমান মাজার শরীফে 2টা দোকান আছে আমার এক ছেলে আর স্বামী করে আর কারখানাতে আমি আমার ছেলে কাজ করি আর তাছাড়া মাজার যে ওয়াশরুম এটার ইজারা আমরা নেই ওইখানে আমার 10টা কর্মী কাজ করে 3 জন মহিলা 7 জন পুরুষ ওই টাকা থেকে আমি এখন জমায়া কাউন্দিয়াতে 2% জায়গা নিছি আমি আশা করব শক্তি ফাউন্ডেশনে আমার অনেক সুযোগ সুবিধা দিচ্ছে আমি 16 বছর যাবত আছি আমি চাই শক্তি আমার পাশে আরও থাকুক আমি যেন আরও উন্নতি হইতে পারি এখন আমি 2 কাঠা জমির মালিক একটা গাড়ি কিনছি প্রায় আমার পাশে থাকলে আমি আরও উন্নত হইতে পারবো আমি গর্বিত যে আমি ছোট ব্যবসা থেকে যে এত বড় প্রতিষ্ঠানে আসতে পারছি আপনাদের সামনে দাঁড়ায় কথা বলতেছি এই একমাত্র এই শক্তি ফাউন্ডেশনের জন্য নাহলে আমার এই জায়গা আসা হইতো না আমি আপনাদের কাছে দোয়া চাই যাতে আমি আরও প্রতিষ্ঠান বাড়াইতে পারি এখন আমার 4টা ফ্যাক্টরি আছে আমার শ্রমিকরা কাজ করে আমি আগে নিজে আমার স্বামীর সাথে কাজ করতাম এখন 4 জন আমি কাজ করাই আমার ছেলে আর আমি কালার জরি সিলিফিন এগুলা করি অগদি আমি কাঁচা মালটা তৈরি করি আপনারা আমার জন্য দোয়া করবেন আমার জমিতে জানি আমি আগামী বছর শক্তির থেকে টাকা নিয়ে ফ্ল্যাট বাড়ি করতে পারি আসসালামু আলাইকুম
থ্যাংক ইউ আপা স্টোরিটা আসলেও খুব সুন্দর ছিল এরকম স্টোরি শোনার জন্য আমরা আসলে অপেক্ষায় থাকি যে We are working so hard to design interventions, at our offices. We are doing this at field level, but just being able to hear real life stories is what keeps us motivated to keep going. So thank you so much for telling us your story so nicely. Thank you. After this, we have another beneficiary, Miss Amina. She is here from V Platform, and she will be sharing her story. So please, can we get a round of applause, please? Thank you. Amina Appa, please come up.
হ্যালো আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমি আমিনা আক্তার রোমানা আমি কম্পিউটার ডিপ্লোমা ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং শেষ করেছি তো আমি একটা আইটি ফার্মে জব করতাম কোভিড পিরিয়ডে আমার জবটা চলে যায় তো চলে যাওয়ার পর আমি আসলে আমার ফ্যামিলিতে আমার বাবা মাকে দেখাশোনা করার জন্য আমিই ছিলাম তো আমার যখন জব চলে যায় তো আমি আমার বাবা মাকে কিভাবে দেখাশোনা করব আর কোভিড পিরিয়ডে আসলে সবারই কর্মসংস্থানের অভাব ছিল বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে সবাই চাকরিচ্যুত ছিল তো তখন আমি আমার এক বান্ধবীর মাধ্যমে উই নামে একটা প্ল্যাটফর্মের সন্ধান পাই যেটা একটা ফেসবুক গ্রুপ তো আমি ওখানে জয়েন করার পর সেখানে দেখি বিভিন্ন উদ্যোক্তা তাদের নিজস্ব ক্রিয়েশন নিয়ে পোস্ট দিচ্ছে সেগুলো সেল করছে বিভিন্ন প্রোডাক্ট তো আমি যেহেতু চাঁদপুরের তো আমি আমার চাঁদপুরের নদীর মাছ নিয়ে পোস্ট দিলাম তো আমাকে সবাই বলল যে মাছ কিভাবে সেল করবে অনলাইনে মাছ তো মানুষ বাজারে গিয়ে দেখে শুনে কেনে মাছ তো আর অনলাইনে ছবি দেখে কিনবে না তো আমি সেজন্য চিন্তা করলাম আমি যদি এখানে নতুন কিছু দিতে পারি তাহলে অবশ্যই নেবে যারা চাকরিজীবী আছে সময় দিতে পারছে না ফ্যামিলিতে আমি তাদের জন্য রেডি টু কুক সার্ভিস শুরু করলাম রেডি টু কুক সার্ভিস দেখে অনেকেই আগ্রহী হলো এবং তাদের সময় বেঁচে যাচ্ছে ছোট মাছ যখন খুশি তখন নিতে পারছে আর নদীর তাজা মাছ পাচ্ছে তো একজন উদ্যোক্তা আসলে হুট করেই উদ্যোক্তা হয়ে উঠতে পারে না উদ্যোক্তা হতে গেলে অনেক কিছু শিখতে হয় শেখার জন্য আমি উইতে কিছু ক্লাস পেলাম মাস্টার ক্লাস উইয়ের মাস্টার ক্লাসগুলো থেকে আমি অনেক কিছু শিখেছি কিভাবে আমি আমার ব্যবসার সাপ্লায়ারদের সাথে ডিল করব কিভাবে আমি আমার হিসেবগুলো করব একজন উদ্যোক্তার যত খুঁটিনাটি আছে যেগুলো বই থেকে অনেক কিছু শেখা যায় না আমি কিন্তু উইয়ের মাস্টার ক্লাসগুলো থেকে হাতে কলমে শিখেছি তারপর উইয়ের মাস্টার ক্লাস ছাড়া উই থেকে আমাদেরকে বিভিন্ন ওয়ার্কশপ করাতো সেখান থেকেও শিখেছি গত 2 বছর ধরে আমি আলহামদুলিল্লাহ 500-র বেশি কাস্টমার পেয়েছি অনলাইন থেকে এবং সারা বাংলাদেশে কিভাবে প্রোডাক্ট ডেলিভারি করব সেই জন্য কিন্তু উই আমাদের ডেলিভারি বিষয়ের উপরও বিভিন্ন ক্লাস করিয়েছে এবং ওনারা সেই সাপোর্টগুলো আমাদেরকে দিয়েছে উই থেকে আমি অনেক সাপোর্ট পেয়েছি এবং আমার উদ্যোক্তা জীবন শুরু হয় উই থেকে সেজন্য ধন্যবাদ দিব উইয়ের নাসিমা আক্তার নিশা আপুকে আর আমি আমার উদ্যোক্তা জীবনে এখন আমি একজন সফল বলবো না কারণ আসলে মানুষের সফলতার কোনো শেষ নেই কিন্তু আমি আমার ফ্যামিলিকে দেখাশোনা করতে পারছি আমি আমার বাবা মাকে নিয়ে গত মাসে কক্সবাজার ঘুরতে গিয়েছি আমার নিজের উদ্যোগের টাকা দিয়ে আমি আমার বাবার চোখ অপারেশন করিয়েছি আমার নিজের উদ্যোগের টাকা দিয়ে তো আমি বলবো আমি চাকরি করে হয়তো এতটা করতে পারতাম না কারণ চাকরি করলে আমার মাস শেষে একটা ফিক্সড স্যালারি হাতে আসতো সেই টাকা থেকে আমার সারা মাস চলার জন্য রেখে দিতে হতো কিন্তু আমার উদ্যোক্তা বলে আমি আমার এই সমস্যাগুলো সলিউশন করতে পারছি খুব সহজে আমার এখন আর কোনো হিসেব করতে হয় না আমি ছুটি বা কোথাও যাওয়া আসার জন্য অফিস থেকে ছুটি নেওয়ার জন্য বসে থাকতে হয় না উই থেকে আমাদেরকে এখন কিছু ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সাপোর্টও দিচ্ছে গত বছর উই থেকে আমরা সরকারি কিছু অনুদান পেয়েছি স্মার্ট নারী উদ্যোক্তা হিসেবে সারা বাংলাদেশ থেকেই পেয়েছে প্রায় 1400 মহিলাদেরকে এই স্মার্ট নারী উদ্যোক্তা প্রণোদনা দিয়েছে আমাদের বাংলাদেশ সরকার আইসিটি মিনিস্ট্রি থেকে ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে
Thank you so much, Appa. It is very true. We have I think pretty much everyone has visited at field level, within our countries, and just being able to see these examples that, it may sound very simple, but it is definitely not. Somebody, especially who's working, I can say from my own experience, being able to get a service where I can get the right fish at the right price, to my doorstep, that's a blessing for my life. So I would actually call these entrepreneurship ideas blessings in all our lives. And again, I would like to give another round of applause for this. I mean, it's wonderful, all that we're hearing. Thank you. So right now, we're going to move on to the panel discussion, and this will be quite lively, and we will be getting to hear from the industry leaders about how they are dealing with the financial inclusion solutions in Bangladesh and other countries. There is so much going on. We'll be hearing from the perspectives from Bangladesh, we'll be hearing from Malaysia, and we'll be hearing a lot of things from Vietnam. So I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Anil, to come on stage. Anil sir, please come up. And then we will again invite Shaziaul Haq, who has been the chief guest and is also part of the panel. So he's from Bangladesh Bank, and I'm sure that we'll get to hear a lot of interesting things there. A lot of regulatory related things are what I'm expecting to hear from. So thank you so much. Please come on stage, sir. Then I will invite Min Trang Tran. He is starting, she is the program manager of Women's Initiative for Startups and Entrepreneurship in Vietnam. And we would love to hear the stories from Vietnam about how they are dealing with SMEs and how they are solving the financial inclusion problems and solutions for the clientele there. And then we have Nadia Ismadi, who's the fintech co-founder of POD in Malaysia. This is another very interesting platform. She has built an AI-enabled alternative credit scoring engine to offer Sharia microfinancing that helps gig workers. So that is quite interesting. At least we don't get to hear much about gig workers in Bangladesh, so that will be new for us in Bangladesh context. So please come up on stage. Then we have Dr. Imamun Nabi Khan. He's the project coordinator at FAO, and he has a vast, many years of experience, 29 years of experience in agricultural sector, and being able to include especially the farmers, the rural farmers and the semi-urban people into the financially inclusive, the digital financial inclusion that is happening in Bangladesh. We would love to hear about that. So thank you, sir. Last but not the least, let me also invite Mr. Imran Ahmed, who's the Deputy Executive Director of Shakti Foundation. Okay, he couldn't make it to the event because of traffic issues, but we can begin the panel discussion. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Switch it on. Yeah, this is. So, thanks, Faiza, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this very patiently. Before I begin with my panel, I think you know that what's the topic of the panel. It's fairly complex. The topic says that how has innovation in financial products and resilience across developing countries. So it has several keywords and several complexities around how people are going to use it, or how institutions they are going to provide on the basis of building the financial health and financial resilience of people. So it's fairly complex topic, but I am happy to have a very decent panel here, which comes from a very different walks of life and different countries. So with that, we want to give a round of what's really happening in some of these countries, And secondly, it is how it is helping the financial health or financial resilience of the people in those countries. So before I begin, let me try to unravel some of the things, because there are few keywords. One is all around the financial health. So in fact, in the mornings, while Sunil was speaking, he covered 4 distinct parts of it. What we call it is spend, save, borrow, and plan. So essentially, all this put together becomes a kind of a key determinants of financial health. And when we use the word financial health or financial well-being, it typically describes a condition wherein a person can fully meet current and ongoing financial obligations. That is one. Second is the person feels secure in the financial future. And third is able to make the choices that allow them to enjoy the life. Fairly loaded thing is not that easy, because most of our discussions and conversations are all around financial access and the uses. And we also layer that with the quality of service. So generally, this is what we see in the market. And as markets are evolving, as we are progressing massively on financial inclusion scale, I think this is where we would like to go to. Second part is all about innovation in financial products and how do we increase resilience of people, particularly in developing countries, using that. So we will try to understand from the panel that how, as an industry stakeholders, how do we recenter our focus on improving the lives of vulnerable population. And this is very important considering that we are in a new normal. So definitely we are not in COVID era, but we still see that there is a new era which still has some fear, which still has a lot of vulnerability, not only because of the pandemic that we faced recently, but also because of climate. Third is that a very important thing that we see is that how digital financial inclusion is happening in our context. What we see, the data that I have with me, that from the Global Findex report, it says that 53% of the adult population in Bangladesh and 31% of adult population in Vietnam owned a registered account in 2022. And these numbers are, again, based on certain surveys that they do, and sometimes they may not really pick up the true picture of the market. And things are rapidly changing in most of the markets, but still we know that there are a lot of people, those who do not have registered account in these markets. What we also see is that digital remains one of the key tools to cover geography, considering what we want to cover Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Malaysia into that. The third thing that we see on the basis of World Bank data, the gross national saving as a percentage of GDP for Bangladesh was 36% and 33% in Vietnam in 2021. It's pretty high. In fact, if you look at countries like this, you will realize that it's not that you need to tell people to save. They do save. Generally, the problem is all about that where to save and how to save. I think that is the core problem. And very interestingly, I look at the Gallup survey on financial health, and it highlights very interesting trend. So one of the trend which basically highlights the joy of Bangladesh is, so there's a lot of optimism actually here in Bangladesh, and countries like Bangladesh, I'll come to that also. And this is how this country, people of this wonderful country react when they are asked about the question of having financial control. What we see from the data, that only 7% of population are secure and financially healthy, but 31% people report that they have financial control. So this is what they say is, "Thik ache, cholbe, osubidha nai." So it's very, very interesting to see that a lot of people feel that they are into financial control. They have the financial control, but the data suggests otherwise. Same thing is true even for Vietnam. So in Vietnam, of course, the numbers are not that stark. We see that 11% are really healthy, but 23% of Vietnamese, 1 out of 4 Vietnamese feel that they have financial control. And just contrasting it with the data from South Korea and Japan, and it's very different actually. in Japan, it's a completely reverse. In the sense, 31% people in Japan say that they are in control, but actually 50% of them, they are financially secure. And Korea seems to have found a balance, like those who are saying they have a control and those who actually have control, they are at around 40%. So very surprising data from different countries. And I think countries in our part of the world, they are like that we believe that we have control, but unfortunately data doesn't support that. But the good part is that it keeps people happy, and that's the reason why you'll find that happiness index in countries like Bangladesh will be a little higher as compared to many other countries of similar nature. Okay, so coming to the panel, so let me first start with main train. So WISE actually, Faiza spoke about it. It's a women's initiative for startup and entrepreneurship. And they offer all-rounded business development support for women, including capacity building, business incubation, and acceleration, besides business mentoring, improving access to finance and investment. So they do a lot of work around community building, research and policy advocacy, and fostering a connection with resources and opportunities for women to create new startups as well as innovate and grow their businesses. So I have the first question for you, Tran. This question is all about that, would you like to share the operational model of WISE in Vietnam? And the core part is that who do you serve? And why we are interested in knowing about it, that we see a lot of such entrepreneurship model like accelerator in multiple markets. In fact, in the morning, someone spoke about FinLab BD that is operational in Bangladesh, and we see similar models in different markets. So, we would like to know more about operational model, and through that, who do you serve?
So thank you for having me today, and thank you for your question. So WISE is not working like a VC, but we're working as a non-profit organization in Vietnam. Our mission is to support women in every stage of their entrepreneurship path. So we serve women entrepreneurs to inspire them with entrepreneurship, build them with entrepreneur and business management skill and knowledge, and we match them, connect them with resources, opportunity, business opportunity for them to grow and expand their businesses.
And like based on your assessment of Vietnamese market, what is your take that how this Vietnamese market is ready to adopt digital financial services? More so for the payments.
Yeah, thank you. So according to the report of State Bank of Vietnam, after the COVID-19 pandemic, the people payment behavior have a great change. So along with the movement of digital transformation, a lot of payment methods have been adopted and used by people in Vietnam. And the average annual growth rate of mobile transaction is up to 90% in the last year. So you can see a lot of micro businesses like vendor in traditional market have now their own bank account, and also the QR code of the bank account that allow customer to scan and pay immediately. So they are very familiar with Momo, VNPay, e-wallet, and mobile internet banking.
So Tran raised a very interesting and important point is that like when people do the digital payment, what is that they are looking at? I think there are two things that we typically say. One is that the opportunity cost, if you were to go at some place physically and make the payment, there is an enormous amount of opportunity cost. And second, convenience. So convenience and opportunity cost, this is driving the digital payment in Vietnam. This is what we hear. Just one more follow-up question is that because I3 team has been associated with WISE for quite some time, and we would like to know that what kind of support was available from that program, and how does it help?
With the support of MetLife Foundation and MSC, Microsafe Consulting, so WISE is implementing women-led businesses program in Vietnam in order to increase the financial health of women entrepreneurs in Vietnam. So we aim to create a community of women-led business who can access to the inside, the market inside, the industry inside, and also available tool and solution, digital solution for them to grow their businesses. And we build the capacity of financial service, entrepreneurship, and market linkage for women-led businesses through online training, offline training, and also free accessibility of online video on WISE LMS and also on WISE social media platform. And we also connect them with financial service and digital platform for them to get a formal credit and also onboard onto a digital platform, so where they can sell or buy goods.
Thanks, Frank. Let me turn to Nadia from POD. So POD was launched in 2019. It's a mobile saving app in Malaysia, and this helps the gig workers better manage their finances. So I was chatting with her in the morning, and I realized that they have already expanded to Indonesia. So difference between their operation in Malaysia versus Indonesia is that in Indonesia, they've started with lending, which is a credit. And of course, there would be different reasons why you cannot enter in each of the market with entire suite of products. And this is one of the very interesting startups that is there in the market of Malaysia. And so I think the first question for you is that, can you help us better understand the operational model of POD in Malaysia? And of course, the supplementary question continues to remain, who do you serve? Who is your customer here? And we would like to hear your story of challenges that you faced while you started this. And it could be market-based challenges, it could be regulatory challenges. What has been your learning and the success stories during your journey?
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I know we're standing between you and lunch, so we'll try to make this exciting and worth your time. You asked me about challenges. How much time do you have? There's a lot of stories. But you rightfully pointed out, we started in Malaysia in 2019 with a very simple idea. We wanted to help people to save money. So year in and year out, prior to setting up POD, I was with a Japanese fund management firm, basically looking at institutional investments for pension funds, central banks, corporation. So we didn't look at individual clients. But every year I hear the same statistics that Malaysia says it's difficult for Malaysians to save $1,000 in emergency. Every year. And I was wondering, I hear this last 3 years, isn't anybody doing anything about this? Why are we saying the same thing over and over again? But much to my surprise, it is actually quite difficult to solve a lot of the issues that contributes to the fact that people can't save money. It boils down to income, limited access to credit and financial products and services. So when we first started, we were looking at youth segment in general. So we participated in one of the I3 program led by UNCDF and MetLife in Malaysia. That's where we actually drilled down to then focus on gig segment. So because of the pandemic and even the years building up to that, the younger generation has chosen to work for themselves. It is quite difficult for banks. I'm sure FIs in the audience can relate to this. It is quite difficult to recruit young talents these days because they want to work on their own. They want to be their own boss. But with that, there are also problems, right? Because you don't have salary statements and pension contribution, financial services, it will be very limited to you. So the banks have no idea how to do the scoring, how to evaluate your credit worthiness, give you credit card. It is going to be challenging. So that's when we decide it makes a lot of sense for us to double down into the gig worker segment. So gig worker segment is loosely defined at that time. So people who work in service, delivery, self-employed entrepreneurs. So there's a wide group of selection of people. So when we started with saving, after that we realized that there are ancillary products that people want to have access to. So the powerful thing about knowing when someone has money that they are saving towards something they care about. So a lot of our users pre-pandemic were saving to travel. So everybody was saving towards a specific location. So that insight and how frequent they save. Are they saving weekly? When do they withdraw? So for example, if let's say by midweek, so usually on Friday, they will start withdrawing their savings with us. Then we know that they're actually withdrawing the money to bridge between the next paycheck, which typically they get on Monday if you are a rider for a specific gig platform. So then this kind of knowledge is very powerful so that then you can recommend the right product at the right time. So that's what we ended up doing when someone wants to withdraw their saving. We tell them, hey, don't do that, but we can extend you credit at 0% interest so that you can continue to keep saving, right? And then if you pay us on time, then you don't get charged anything. So that's how we started rolling out multiple different other products, which also includes insurance, micro investments, and things like that. In Indonesia, it's a bit different because the market is slightly more unique, where the people who don't have access to financial products from financial institutions, when they borrow at 1% per day. So there's no way they could save, there's no way they could invest and things like that. So that's when we decide, let's provide alternative to the current credit model in Indo. So instead of them borrowing at 1% per day, they can borrow from us at 0% interest. So we charge a upfront processing fee, and that's the only thing we charge. So the non-compounding element is very important, because if you're borrowing at 1% per day, you have to borrow from the next provider to cover the loan and interest of this provider. And then every people who borrow in Indo at least have 2 to 3 P2P platforms that they borrow from. So they'll never be able to get out of that spiral. So that's when we decide in Indonesia, it's more prevalent for us to do lending than savings. But over time, our vision is financial health and well-being. So we want to couple a bunch of things into our evaluation of credit, for example. So that's why another thing I didn't realize, part of the challenges to solve for credit for the underserved is there's no credit score that you can use to evaluate them. So you have to build your own. So that's what my team and I has been building as well the last couple of years, where we started looking at alternative data points to then do the credit scoring and evaluation. So one interesting thing, aside from all the other data points, if you're interested, I can share later, but one that is very different from the other ways of other financial institutions doing scoring is we bundle financial literacy and financial health as part of the score as well. So for example, if someone today can only borrow $500, but they wanted to access, let's say, $1,000. So in order for them to increase the credit score, they have to consume financial literacy content, answer some quizzes to show that they understood the content, and then we can increase the limit. So there's incentive for them to be financially healthy, and this is one of the insights that was really powerful that we've learned in our journey. I think challenges is quite similar, right? In markets where you want to service the underserved, and I think Mr. Salim rightfully pointed out, you have to be sustainable and profitable in order for you to keep going. So the only way to do that is to really understand which value chain that you are providing for, because customers have different problems, right? And as businesses, we want to solve all of them because it makes a lot of sense from, the do-good perspective. But you have to understand which portion of the business to supplement all the other things like financial literacy and savings, which will not be monetized immediately. So that was credit for us. So then we want to do credit really, really well, but at the same time, we also want to be a responsible provider so that our users don't end up being in a worse position before they got credit versus when they have credit from us. So I think that's a bit of insights into our journey.
Thanks. Very interesting insight. Actually, a couple of things which stand out very clearly is that how do you build credit score for people, those who are new to credit, what we call it, NTC. And generally, if you look at the credit bureaus, they start with something like, if new to credit, it is -1. Or say, basically it's a indicator that you have never been assessed for the credit, right? And the second part is that how do you use alternate data to build the credit score? I think it's a very complex process, and I'm very happy to know that you are using even financial literacy as one of the parameters over there. Probably I'll come back to that. How do we use that even in other markets? Because at least I haven't seen that this is getting used anywhere. I have one quick question is that. You mentioned about credit which is available at 0%, and basically it means there is a fund processing fee, and that is as per the Sharia. And if I were to translate that into an APR, how does it look like?
So currently for APR in Malaysia, it's about 18 to 21%. So 21% means you have really bad credit rating, right? But we still give you an access which is much cheaper than the money lenders out there. For Indonesia, it's slightly higher because our cost of funds is more expensive, but we don't go above 30% at any given moment per annum.
Okay, thanks. There's another thing that you spoke about, this P2P lending. So I remember, I think it was in 2019, I was in Indonesia and we were doing some work with the regulator by the name OJK there. And while I was returning, I was reading an article and I realized that over 800 P2P lenders were banned overnight in Indonesia. And this is something which is becoming fairly predatory in many of the markets. And this is something even I'm seeing in our market, that is India market. Left, right, and center, many of the digital lenders are getting banned by the regulator.
So the number of people that is being serviced, 800 lenders, is about 22.4 million people in Indonesia that are borrowing from P2P. So those are the number of people being hit by bus every day with the interest rate.
See, there are always two arguments for this. One is that, if people have those services or solutions available from the formal bank, they would like to avail it. But unfortunately, they are not available. So something else has to come. But when the systemic risk that regulators see in these markets with these type of players, I think they are just clamping down. So India also, the latest number says something like 3,500 such loan apps have been banned. And some of them, they are in the regulatory ambit, and some of them, they are not even regulated because there are so many other regulations all around that. So it's a fairly controversial topic, maybe a topic for discussion in itself. I'll just move to now my colleague, Dr. Iman from FAO. And FAO works on a very, very, very important constituency, more from the financial inclusion perspective. They work with farmers. And most of the markets, you'll find very large and disproportionate share of the farmers are what we call small farm holders. They own a very small piece of land and they have enormous amount of challenges. I think probably it's understatement to say that they are constrained. They are more like small entrepreneurs wherein they are growing their crops on regular basis and they face all the challenges, but still there is a limited support which is available. So FAO is doing very interesting piece of work in Bangladesh and other places. So we would like to know more about that innovative revolving loans that is about that you have in Bangladesh. And we would like to hear that what is this project all about and how it is impacting the lives of the customer. Because end of the day, customers are central to all our themes, all our discussions.
Thank you, Anilji and dignitaries. So at FAO, Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations is mandated to support Ministry of Agriculture and also associated departments of governments and also private sectors and also financial institutions associated with smallholders, those who are lending financed. So all in Bangladesh that Bangladesh enters into single-digit interest regime for the agricultural loan in 2014, sir. And the policy, agriculture and rural credit policy, which is a dynamic policy developed by Bangladesh Bank every year during the onset of the financial year, is updated with different financial products for climate resilient, smart cropping patterns to different agro-processing industries and others. So for the smallholders, the credit norms really declares a diversified and wide array of financial products. And the financing volume from Bangladesh Bank for more than 50 commercial banks is increasing gradually year on year. So last 10 years it's increased from 2 billion to 3 billion, if I'm not wrong, sir. So if we calculate that, we have 16 million smallholder farming family. And if we divide this 3 billion by 16 million families, so per households can get 18,000 Dhaka. So it's quite a large investment from the government sides. The dilemma is The national bank, commercial banks, those have shortage of branches, most of the bank. So the state-owned bank and also some other private commercial banks, they are doing good. But most of the bank have shortage of branches in the rural level. And they reach with bank MFI linkage, which is not attractive to the farmers because government gave a declaration of single-digit interest. Instead, through bank MFI linkage, it goes to more than 20% interest rate. Farmers are not benefited with this government declaration. So in 2014-15, Ministry of Agriculture asked FAO what we can do better to cater and to trickle down this benefit exactly to the smallholder farmers. And then we developed a project named Missing Middle Initiative. Missing middle means those smallholders and their institutions, those cannot reach to the formal financial markets and also to the formal marketing and also formal value chain with the corporate. So they are the missing middle, and we identify the agricultural club, farmers organizations, agricultural cooperatives. So there are so many dilemma with agricultural cooperatives, and Ministry of Agriculture told us that we should have to develop the institutionalization of the cooperatives or farmers organizations or the producer organizations. Then we developed a comprehensive curriculum, including institutional literacy, financial literacy, digital literacy, business literacy, appropriate skill technology literacy, and market literacy. So the bottlenecks we found in 2015 that banks, MFIs, yeah, they are doing very good. At least they are trying to reach a last mile people from their own channel of business continuum. But the problem is smallholders, they have teeny lands and their producers are not competitive to market and their input demands also not competitive to the market. Individual smallholders cannot work alone, so they should come under a producer organizations. So if they could not attract market or the financial institutions or agribusiness corporate, so they will not connect with the value chain or tertiary level actors. So here, when we developed, as a pilot, we developed 55 cooperatives, and we also provide them a revolving loan grant. But we also identify the constraint associated with financing smallholders, that most of the financial products mainly concentrate on borrowing and repayment only. So repayment sometimes why we are imposing a higher credit, because repayment is an issue. Because per credit officer at MFIs, they covered at least 2,400 farm families. So it's a huge task for a credit officer at the rural level. But instead that if they also have some financial literacy, and then they will get some reinforcement support from technology, access to market, access to business information, so it is easy for them. So this we really translate with Ministry of Agriculture. And these 55 organizations, so when they operate their revolving loan in a transparent and an accountable way, we also provided them some digital literacy on .collect mobile, say FAO apps for financial instrument monitoring. Also, we provided some education on Rural Invest. It's a business literacy handy toolkit to prepare bankable business proposal. We also gave them a literacy on microbank for Windows, a financial and account software. So with these, when they develop a social capital, then they are attractive to some financial institutions. So you'd be happy that at least 11 national commercial banks now consider the cooperative social capital as a guarantee. So the members of the cooperatives now enjoy a collateral-free loan. So almost, say, project finance is about $2 million, And the additional crowd in finance is about, from the National Bank, is about $2.3 million for this 55 organizations. So the leverage value, we calculated that per dollar, they crowd in $1.23 from the private sectors. So these are the experiences we have. Now, Agriculture Ministry also told us that FAO can also leverage some investment from other sources. So now from July 2023 to onward, we also awarded another initiative named Access. Through Access, we will go to the agribusiness clusters with the same financial model for financial inclusion of the agribusiness smallholder agribusiness cluster for the smallholder farmers. So that's all. I'm here if you're not satisfied with my answer. Thank you.
I think I have a couple of clarification. One is that you mentioned about more than $2.1 million of loan, and there is a capital which is coming from these cooperative organizations. So what's the generally ratio between their own capital versus loan?
From our side, it was $2 million. Say for each cooperative fund is range between $33,000 to $35,000. From national commercial banks, most of the investment coming from National Bank, then Mutual Bank, then Mutual Trust Bank, and Ogruni Bank also in different remote areas, in drought-prone north area and also southern area. So overall, it's about, say, cumulative, so $2.3 million coming from the 11 national commercial banks. So overall, this was also 100% repaid without any pain. Say the main problem is for the national commercial bank, private bank, so they have shortage of branches, but cooperative and the farmer business facilitators from the community, rural youth, women and men, those who are mainly look after the revolving loan fund of their own, and also they are entrusted to repay back to the bank loan from the members. They are working not as a bank agent, but they are the agent of the cooperative. So it's 100% repayment, and then again they open the register. So it's continuing. So overall, we estimated that per $1 it is about $1.3 additional crowd in finance from the private sector.
And your capital can act as a kind of a collateral or maybe a kind of a back-ended subsidy in case there is a default.
Well, from our side, it's totally grant. It's very competitive.
Yeah, so it becomes a blended finance eventually.
We gave, under the cooperative law, they can receive grant, and they can only revolve it among their members, not the non-member. So with this legitimacy of Bangladesh government, we provide them grant, but with the condition you have to have revolve and you have to increase your member so that your outreach will be more.
So another thing that quick question is around that you use the word missing middle. So generally we have used this word, or I have seen this word getting used for small enterprises, and sometimes people use even for people. It's the first time that I'm hearing this word that for the farmers, this thing. Just want to check, do you mean the same thing as a missing middle for farming community, that you have one layer which is getting served by one segment, one type of institution, the upper layer is served by, say, large financial institution, and what is missing where no one is really basically taking care, is the same thing or it is little different in your context?
It's a long story, so here I have only 6 to 7 minutes, that's why I off this. So, this funding continuum mainly developed by Global Agricultural Food Security Program, GAFSP. GAFSP is a trust of G20 countries, and World Bank is a World Bank Trust Fund. So G20 countries mainly fund to World Bank Trust Fund, and it's highly competitive amongst the world. And you'll be happy that Bangladesh ranks, always the fund we receive, Bangladesh ranks first. Because of the, the smallholders the financial inclusion policy of Bangladesh Bank, and the enthusiasm and also support from the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's why GAFSP mainly, they have two financial windows. One is public funding window, another one is private funding window. In between public and private window, so it's a public window enjoyed by government, and private window through IFC, it goes to large corporate, say Pran, here Pran, and also Shurma Lafares Cement. They are the receiver of GAFSP, private sector window fund. And from the government side, it's a large project that developed integrated agriculture productivity project. So in between public and private sector window, GAFSP realized in 2016 that smallholder farmers organizations, CSOs, they did not get that much financial support from GAFSP. So that this missing middle comes from GAFSP funding window, that they create another financial window for the missing middle, those who are farmers cooperative, farmers organizations, apex organizations, or civil society organizations. So it's an innovative window here. It is not a cut and paste approach. Rather than this approach should come from the bottom of the pyramid, the community at the bottom of the pyramid. And the proposal, you will be happy to know that the proposal totally prepared by the apex producer organization, Shara Bangla, Krishak Society, and our work is to just translate there what they mainly propose in the proposal. So the missing middle comes from GAFSP.
Okay.
Mainly, we took the opportunity that these cooperative are not able to enter into the formal financial sector, nor they able to enter into the corporate. So they're the missing middle.
Okay.
Thank you, Onelji.
Thanks. So I also welcome Imran Bhai. Really, he could come despite all the rains, which was trying to stop him. And I also see that, I think during COVID, he have also put on some weight, like most others. I'll come back to you in few minutes. So coming to the regulator now, we have a regulator in the room, and Jia Bhai has been, I think, very supportive. And there are very few regulators that I interact, and I find them, they are really looking at customers or those who are looking at the innovations with passion. For most of them, the systems that they are managing and the organization that they are leading, I think that becomes a priority. This is very, very interesting change that I see with Bangladesh Bank and more so with Jia Bhai. So Jia Bhai, the question for you is that, this digital financial services and digital financial inclusion, I think it rests on enabling regulatory framework. So unless we have the framework wherein people can access the services and use the services in the most affordable manner, it's very difficult, and no one else can enable it other than the regulator. So how Bangladesh Bank has been creating enabling environment? That's a first question, and that includes a variety of players that we see in the market, whether agent banking, MFS, and the fintechs. And second is that how will it help eventually the customers to build their resilience and financial health?
Thank you, Onilda, for your kind words. Before answering the question, I would like to talk about some data discrepancy. I have mentioned many a time, I'm not sure I have the same audience. Bangladesh Bank is not a firm believer of index data. We have raised the issue to Findex, talked with World Bank. If you are a keen follower of index data, you will find that in 2014, our financial inclusion was near about 42%, which was increased later on 48%, and in the last data, it was 54%. So the definition of financial inclusion, according to the Findex, is having a transaction account. So if I took the definition, so I will consider bank account for sure. So we have near about 120 million bank accounts. Of course, mobile financial services accounts are also transaction accounts. So we have more than 180 million MFS accounts. And now the next question is whether NGO MFA accounts are transaction accounts or not. So we talked with World Bank whether they take NGO MFI account as the transaction account. Say they answered positively. So if they answered positively, I don't find any reason our financial inclusion will be 54%. Same thing happened regarding the cost of remittance in Bangladesh. What World Bank does, in case of cost of remittance, they do choose 10 corridors for the calculate the cost of remittance. So naturally, when they choose 10 corridors, that should be chosen by the number of remittance come to Bangladesh. So Pakistan could not be one of the corridor for Bangladesh. South Africa has to. So we again found that the way they have chosen the corridors is actually not the right way to get the appropriate data. So when Onilda was saying that our data, only 7% are financially healthy, I'm not convinced about that. So why I'm not convincing about that will be a right answer to the questions also. So in our case, we always found that our people are naturally resilient. Starting from the 1971, after the war, we have faced many natural calamity. And still the growth we are having, 7% plus each year, is something unbelievable to the world. There is an X factor which is not answered by anyone. How Bangladesh is achieving this growth? I'm a firm believer that our people is the X factor. Our people always come up with the idea, our people always come up with the solution, which even from the regulator side, from the practitioner side, we did not expect it. Same thing happened in our mobile financial services, same thing happened in our NGO MFI, same things happened in our agent banking. The growth which we expected, the way we anticipated our people will grab them, they actually grab it in a larger scale. So our people are hunger to the new product. Our people really want to change their life without any kind of significant support from the government. Of course, government is trying their best, but people have their own strength to make 2 plus 2 to 6. So, Onilda, to answer your questions, we don't really need to do anything drastically and significantly important to do from our side. We just need to support our people. We just need to take care of what our people want and deliver product accordingly. Rest of the things are taken care by them. We have a diversified market. We have MFS, we have agent banking, and fintechs are rising. So what we are trying to do from the regulator side, in many cases we are having the same product in all the sectors. So we are trying to understand what's the need of which segment of population. Living in a LMI country, and when we're developing policy, we have a problem. Our digital divide and our digital difference is too much. We cannot develop same kind of product for the same segment. Even in the poor segment, some people doesn't have any kind of touch phone, normal mobile phone, and some have one or more. So when we design product, we have to consider which product will be developed for which segment, whether MFS can be taken care of by that particular segment, or agent banking, or we have to rely on the fintech. So that is one of the key considerations whenever we are doing our policy. As well as technological and financial literacy is playing a key role. Even after trying for last 10 years and saying it in many different ways, apnar password karo sathe share korben na, still our people are sharing the password. And that is not happening only in the financially illiterate population. Even the bankers are doing that. Even my central bank's colleagues are sharing their password to the miscreants. And after that, they're trying to say that this is not their fault, this is the fault of the system. So we are living in an environment where we have diversified judgmental people as well as people who are ready to adapt with anything. And central bank is actually coming up with policy for all the segments. So that's the inspiration we have, and that's the way we try to take care of our people. Good or bad, it's our people. We have to take care of all of them. Thank you, Dada.
Thanks, Jia bhai. Actually, if you're listening to him very carefully, I think he might have used one single word multiple times, that is people and the customers. This is hardly any conversation that you will have with regulators where these type of things happen. So that's I think I would say it's a great testimony of how central bank in Bangladesh is working. In fact, when you spoke about this data discrepancy of index, so like this is becoming, I think, as a major problem nowadays. Of course, Gallup survey you can discount because this is a little dated, and secondly, like people don't understand what they were really asking. But Findex data has been questioned even in India. So because government has, like, this is some conversation we had with both the ministry, and they invited the teams from the other organizations also, to see that how are you picking up the data? Because the data in the system also speaks, right? As you said, that so many transaction accounts, so many MFS accounts, so many other accounts. So you know the total of it. You know that some of them they are duplicate. You can duplicate. You can just use a factor. Still, you arrive at a very high number as compared to what is coming out. So this is, I think, this is common, and more so in countries which have really advanced, like say countries like say Bangladesh and India. So this data problem will always be continuing. I think sometimes they code these numbers because they don't have access to all type of granular data. Maybe that is one of the reason, one of the challenges. And most markets, they have data, but probably they don't share that much granular data with these agencies, and these agencies then they go out in the market, they have their own surveys, and those surveys give a very different number. Very interestingly, recently we covered 6 villages in India, and we went very deep, and we covered every single household. So 100% coverage, 6 villages, 6 different locations from the country. What we found, less than 1% of voluntary exclusion. Probably something of this sort, actually, if we were to do in, say, Bangladesh, we'll get a very clear picture. If deep rural, if you're finding this thing, it cannot be like anything, everything will be better than that. So that will serve actually some of these challenges. And very interestingly, you spoke about digital divide. So like anything that as a central bank, you are trying to do around digital divide, because this is becoming apparent now. In the sense, more and more we are becoming digital, we will see more and more divide because of variety of reasons. Say sometimes people are not digitally literate, sometimes because of social pressure, like most of the market that we work in, we see that women are not encouraged to use them, or say they are held back before they can use it. Any thought that around that? Because this is the subject which is still unexplored and not much is really being talked about.
Nishapa has already talked about this issue in detail. So before COVID, though MFS was popular, was not the medium for middle class population of Bangladesh. So what we have seen after COVID arrived, as the movement restriction was there, to pay the utility, to meet up the daily necessity, middle class started to use MFS. And after the COVID, it retained. So what I'm trying to say, the best way to achieve anything is to create the necessity. Make people convinced this is the right thing you need to do to avoid the usual hassle. So when we are talking about digital divide and gender discrepancy, the best thing is to convince the women they need the product. As well as from the service provider side, we need to provide women-centric products. Particularly in the banking sector, Bangladesh Bank has started providing women-centric product, I believe, from 2012. So those products where interest rate was lower than the usual loan product, documentation was less, as well as there were a certain person in every commercial bank who will address the women loan products. That's actually in paper. In reality, this is not that easy. The first challenge comes from the trade license. This is not only for the women, but this is the challenge we are facing for a long period of time for all entrepreneurs of Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, getting trade license is not easy, as well as maintaining the trade license each year is even more difficult. So most of the people who are doing business in Bangladesh in a small scale doesn't have any kind of trade license. For the women entrepreneur, it becomes more difficult. In many cases, we have found that women entrepreneur's license is in the name of her husband or her father. With the rise of the 4IR, with the rise of the Facebook, we are seeing that women are effectively doing business in the social media. And that is also without any kind of trade license. From Bangladesh Bank side, realizing that, we have introduced one account in the name of personal retail account, where one can open the account only with the name of, only with NID and with a proof of profession. Again, we are facing some problem. After opening the account, when we are suggesting the commercial banks to provide loan, they want to provide the loan in the name of CMSME. Because Bangladesh Bank has clear instruction from the commercial bank to provide those loans in a certain amount. And the interest rate of those loans are much lower than the usual one. So when the commercial banks are wants to provide the loan in the name of PRA, our SME department, though we are in the same institution, are saying that to provide those kind of loan, there should be a trade license. So we have series of meeting with SME and ask them how they can solve the problem. Now the issue goes beyond central bank and it goes to the ministry. The question comes, when we are providing a loan to an institution that has to have an identity, and the identity is trade license. And from the government side, providing trade license is a source of income for, what can I say, city corporation, Purosabha office. So they don't want to give any kind of discount in the trade license. So that's the issue. We also even request them to make the process automated. A few of the commercial banks are coming up with the idea that if it is fully automated, they are even eager to provide the fees on behalf of the entrepreneurs. So we are working on that. Another thing, a few days back, done by the Ministry of Commerce, that is digital identity for every business. We also requested Ministry of Commerce to take it equivalent to trade license. If that is permissioned, it would have helped PRA to disburse loan in a bigger level. And women entrepreneurs' life would become much easier to get any kind of loan. So these are the things we are seeing. Technologically, reaching women is much easier now. But the documentation, which are led by the regulator, by me, and by the ministries, are still not support to the technological advancement Bangladesh has achieved. We need to work that path.
So I think it's just to summarize, it's a combination of technology and the policies. I think probably policy is taking some time, but it seems with your thought, we are on the right track. So now let me go to Imran Bhai. So he's the practitioner here actually. So we have heard regulator, we have heard people from a different market, Vietnam and Malaysia. We have heard what's really happening on the farmer front before you came in. And the last question was all about that, how are we working with women? I think this is where you are. So whole of your focus is on women entrepreneurs, women as a most bankable borrower actually in our type of countries. What we know that you have done plenty of technology-based innovations in your environment, and we want to hear that what all those changes that you have been making in the last few years, more so maybe you like to show some light on pre-COVID, during COVID, and probably what's really happening? Are we heading to a new normal? A new normal is better than the previous one, or probably there is some fractures that we see, and how it is really impacting the lives of the customer? Because that has been a core question to all my panelists so far.
Thank you, Anil Bhai, and my sincere apologies again for my delay for coming over here, but it's for a very good cause. As he said, I'm a practitioner, so the implementation and the impact side of things I understand very well. Innovation, I leave it to you guys. I don't understand it very well, but it's okay. Everyone doesn't have to do everything. One of the reasons was our Honourable Energy Advisor, Dr. Tawfiq Elahi Bir Bikram, he actually called a very impromptu meeting. He's a great guy. If anyone is not following him, you should. Because through Shredder and other activities, he's really trying to make some big innovations in the energy space. So one of the big things that's going to happen soon that's very relevant for practitioners like us is the three-wheelers that run, like what we call easy bikes, tuk-tuks, whatever the name you give, outside of Dhaka. Sometimes we forget that a world exists outside of Dhaka. So there are about roughly 4 to 5 million of them. So the government is going to very soon, maybe Ziabhai knows it, they're going to give them registration or at least an ID number to legalize this form of transportation, which is extremely important for the ecosystem. Battery operated, which is going to be a game changer for our context. So part of it is how to make it viable, safe, and financially, how do you finance these transitions? So fascinating discussion, people from all walks of a small group, but it's happening, which is exciting. So again, the policymaker, it's not like changes are not happening, but some changes are happening that are probably more impactful than others, right? So we are very excited about it, particularly the two-wheeler, three-wheeler strategy, right? So I don't worry about the Teslas of the world, that's for rich people's problems. I worry about these kind of things, right? Which has mass implications. So think about 4 million vehicles mean 4 million families, roughly 20 million people, right? So massive coverage, massive reach, income, entrepreneur-wise, right? That's my focus. Now, coming to women entrepreneurs, so one thing we probably tend to forget that Bangladesh have women entrepreneurs for the longest possible time. That's why microfinance has always been so successful in this country, right? Many countries have tried to do it. So the thing is, but I think there has been a fundamental shift, right? In the 1980s, the 1990s, the whole attitude was, okay, they're very poor women, they don't know what to do, they're staying at homes, they don't have access to money, we need to save them. The savior mentality was very prevalent. I mean, at least that's my take of it. I might be saying controversial things, but that's what I do. Now it's completely different. So I came back to Bangladesh 5 years ago, and when I was visiting the fields, I did spend a year, and even this Saturday I'm in Joshua, right? I love getting out of Dhaka. Fun is when you get out of Dhaka. Dhaka is a very boring place, right? For practitioners like me. So it's very, very different. The generation of women I work with, the entrepreneurs, they actually pretty much know what they want to do. They don't need much of our help, as Ziabhai was saying. That's not our job. Hey, I teach you what to do. It's like they have pretty clear ideas. They have been doing it. Maybe 20 years ago, they were taking loans to give to their husbands, sons, but that narrative has changed too. But maybe Microsoft can capture some of that, right? Homestead farming, women are actually doing it. When there was one milk producing cow, there are 3. It's not like, so if you go to rural areas, you see that economic zones are developing and much diverse economic zones. From single income, it's becoming multi-income, right? So I don't think we talk enough about that at micro levels, and maybe some of the, the think tanks and the folks who focus on might look into stuff like this. A revolution has happened, right? So we are the 4th largest producer of fish, right? We are producing vegetables now. It didn't happen just like that. The government had tremendous interventions, the NGOs worked, the private sector swept in, and massive changes in agriculture has happened, right? And it's just a scratch, right? We talk about agriculture, you know that we contribute about 14 to 15% in GDP, but roughly 45% of our employment gets absorbed by agriculture. But we are not even touching on food processing. Right? We are not even, the sir over here next to me is probably an expert on this, but these are things that excite me in rural areas, right? There's so much scope, right? Light engineering, huge scope, right? Efficiency gains, huge scope. Folks are looking into it. If you look at supply chain, cold chain, you'll know it's non-existent, right? interventions in stuff like that has huge scope. One of the reasons why I'm saying this is this innovation doesn't have to be just fintech. Innovation for me is there's real problem and you're trying to solve that problem. And you'll see the rate of success will be much higher if you do stuff like that, right? So that's my 2 cents on that. In terms of technology, one of the realities that we face, which really hasn't changed much, is women, while they are entrepreneurs, they're doing their businesses, whatever form of business they do, right? Or activity, economic activity they do, they still need inputs to produce something, and then they need to sell that, right? The output. So the production piece of it, we are seeing there's still a lot of control that the woman can exert, but the input she's still dependent on someone else to source it for her. And for selling products, she's again dependent on someone else to sell it for her, right? E-commerce has really disrupted that space, right? Now you can sell directly what you have produced, but input, you're still dependent on that. But there's certain barriers to it, right? So if you talk to a Facebook client, like Facebook seller, who's our client, she will say exactly what Zia Bhai is saying. I don't have a trade license, right? It's a huge problem. If you don't have a trade license, you don't have a bank account, how do you do, you don't have an entity. These are the barriers, realistically, they're facing that we need to really think about. What concerns me, Zia Bhai, and I'll be very frank, is while I really applaud and acknowledge you're creating a parallel model of trade license, see, then are we complicating the ecosystem even more? Or should we have focused on trade license and made it very, 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 very simple so that everyone could have it, right? Because why not? What's the harm in having trade license, right? So pushing and challenging the policymakers and stuff like that. How can we make maybe ease of doing business? They know what to do, but simply there are so many barriers to doing business, right? So if we could ease up trade license, if we could give them choices of finance, right? People have become smarter. The microfinance mentality of one size fits all, 1 year loan, weekly, monthly. People are much smarter than that. They want loans to raise their, fatten their cows for 4 months. They want customized loans, right? Because they are becoming smarter. They want to take loans, they want to pay it off. As he has said, we want diversification in products and services, and that's exciting. The other big barrier is mobility of women. That's still a reality. I was touching on that, right? They're dependent on the inputs and outputs. It's still the case, and we are still seeing that smartest of smart women, because of social, cultural conduct, whatever you want to say it, mobility continues to be a big issue for them, particularly in rural areas. So one of the big, a mentor of mine, Kamal Kader, the CEO of Bikash, we have been discussing, working on it a lot as to how do we disrupt at that level. And you'll be very happy to know that Shokti is the first microfinance institution, I'm sure out of many down the road, where it has become the principal agent of Bikash. So our officers have now become agents of Bikash, because we are already going to them, right? We are high touch. Now we are becoming high tech, which allows us to go to them and do their transactions for them. So think about my client now. From her comfort zone, she can purchase her input costs, or we can help her purchase her input costs, and which will now not require sharing her password, right? Because now it's a formal channel. And then we will help her sell her products as well. We will help her get her daughter's student subsidy that the government is providing, right? Now, which she had to go through a channel, go to the chairman's office. It was much harder to get these amounts. In fact, she can get remittance. She doesn't have to depend on a third party, straight on her account, a wallet, right? So the idea is, what Shokti focuses on is, how can we make the environment of our entrepreneurs as easy as possible so that they can do their business successfully. We really don't think we can teach them how to do business. We don't think we're in that space, but we do think we can be partners with them. We can be their personal financial agents and do all sort of financial transactions in a safe environment so they can grow and scale up, so that we have tons and tons of women micro entrepreneurs, that we can start seeing some more women-led enterprises. That's the dream. Let's see what happens. Thank you, Anil bhai.
Thanks, Imran, for such an interesting and wonderful and diversified actually views. So actually, I think in the morning also we heard about high touch and high tech. That was one thing. Actually, a few years back, actually we started using a term what we typically known as physical and digital, which is phygital. It has become mainstream in last few years, but I remember somewhere 2016 or 2017 is the first time we started using this term. Is it something which will be the way forward, at least till the time we become fully digital? So it seems it is happening. And other interesting thing which I learned from you is that basically you are exploiting the shared network now. So this is the major problem that we see in most of the market, that different organizations have different networks. Others are not, they don't want to leverage it, or they don't want to have a partnership. So hence they create their own networks, and this network itself becomes so costly that the cost of delivery basically gets impacted over a period of time. I have one quick follow-up question before I open this to the audience, is that you talked about diversified and customized loan, particularly considering your women borrowers in mind. If that is the case, do you see that MFI as a model, a social capital model, there is a lot of rhythm, people come together and all those things, will it change with that type of requirement? Because people want a customized loan, which could be probably for someone wants for 4 months, someone wants for 4 years. When tenor is different, the value is different. Do you see still MFI would remain in the same fashion the way we have run it in like 20 years relevant, or it will undergo some change? Little provocative question. Huh?
No, I think it's a fair question, and I strongly believe it will change, because the market will force it to change. You know, because now again the clients have competition, they have knowledge. They judge, okay, I'm going to BRAC versus Asha versus Shokti versus Sajida. And I think that's a good thing. Power to the clients, right? Power to the people that we are working for. They should be able to decide. And I also think that we are all trying in our own ways to innovate and to satisfy our clients, right? I'll give you a classic example, right? BRAC, a great story of BRAC is remittance, right? A great story of Bureau is salaried. So practitioners like me who have studied this market, I mean, there is history where we showed like innovation in products had huge impact, right? But I have to tell you, Anil bhai, what worries me about this space is that again, I'm glad that we are non-profits, right? Because again, I feel like that's very important. I'll give you a classic example. The reality is there is a segment that's borrowing from multiple institutions, and that concerns me, okay? Now, new concepts are emerging, like pay now, buy later, and I am a product of McKinsey, right? I have been serving for-profit companies for the longest time. So for-profit scares me, I'll be honest with you, right? In this kind of space, when we are dealing with low-income, vulnerable population. So I would request the regulators that you need to put some probably very strong guidelines and people experiment and innovate, because you don't want this low-income people who hardly have access to finance to be over-indebted. Then we are dealing with a whole different problem that we have probably been better handling, honestly, in Bangladesh compared to many other countries, including Indonesia, Mexico, Philippines, right, as we know. So provocative enough for you?
No, in fact, this is what we call it heat index, and this is something which many countries try. In fact, I see it in India, and some parts are overheated, primarily because there is overdebted, and it's very difficult for them to repay unless government comes to their rescue by way of waiver of loans. And that's the reason why politicians resort to that type of situation. Okay, I'll take a pause here, and I'll move to the audience, and floor is open for the audience. Please feel free to first introduce yourself and raise your question. I think Jakir Bhai is studying before he asked the question. Huh? or maybe the questions are going to come in between you and lunch. I see a hand.
No one raised the question, that's why I am talking. My question is to Jia Bhai. By following the instruction of Bangladesh Bank, financial service providers introduce many products for women. We conducted a research this year. We found there more than 80 financial products already developed by banking institution for women's financial product. But do you have, your institution, has there any monitoring mechanism? What is the impact of this product? How many women get benefit from this product?
Thank you, Appa. Actually, there is a certain amount of loan that has to be disbursed to the women. That's the policy of Bangladesh Bank, and there is the reporting. SME department takes care of all these things. So disheartening thing is the data which we have has never been enough to reach the goal. Out of 62 banks, only 8-10 banks able to disburse the estimated amount to the women. And even Imran Bhai just said he doesn't believe that women are intelligent enough now not to take loan and provide it to the husband or father. We are not having the similar kind of experience. Many of cases, as the interest rate is lower in the women loan, we have seen that after taking the fund, it actually siphoned to the other business activities. So even after a strict instruction from the central bank, due to the documentation constraint and due to the environment we are having with the women product, still banks are lacking to achieve the target. From a commercial bank point of view, let's discuss it from a different perspective now. Most of the commercial banks are profit oriented. So at the end of the day, they have to make sure that the loan which they have disbursed will come back to them. So there are two ways they can disburse the loan to the women. One is personal account and one is business account. So we already discussed elaborately what is the problem with the business account. So let's talk about the personal account. So mainly personal accounts loan will be disbursed to the job owners or to the individuals. So it's very difficult to give any kind of loan to the individual women. Banks are not happy, and the pre-experience they have with the providing loan to the individual women without job is not till now very good. We need some kind of cultural shift in this area. In the other part, the women who are doing job, in most of the cases, they have a good habit of savings. From our experience, what we have seen, the women who are doing job, and specifically I can say about the teachers. If you go through the data, you will find that most of the women who are doing job in Bangladesh are mostly teachers. So we have seen from data that the women who are doing job in the teaching is actually a very good financially educated person. Yes, she knows how to use her fund. So most of the cases, she doesn't actually need loans. That's another dilemma. They are very easy to provide loan. Commercial banks are happily ready to provide loan to the teachers. But from our practical experience, we didn't find women teachers are looking for the loan that much. And this is also true about remaining women who are doing job in other sectors. Even in the bank, even in the tech firm, even in the government institutions, the women who are doing job, the rate of asking for loan is much lower than the male part. So it becomes a dilemma altogether. Bangladesh Bank, from their perspective, wants to provide the loan to the women. Individual women wants to get the loan, but who wants to get the loan doesn't have enough documentation. The women who have enough documentation is not eager to get loan. So altogether we are not successful to achieve the goal. But one game changer would be the ease of trade license. I believe if we come up with a solution of trade license or having trade license in an easier way or some alternative or decrease the necessity of trade license, that will be a true game changer in business account for women. So I always, in any seminar, in any meeting where I get a chance, I always talk about that. Let's reduce the necessity of trade license. Thank you.
If there is any other question, we can take one more, or else I'll just start wrapping it up.
Hello, my name is Sajidul Haq. I'm the country lead of a USAID funded activity called Bangladesh Digital Agriculture Activity. And so, my question is again for Zia Bhai. I think we're kind of all hearting toward, that common topic. Mr. Imran was commenting on the ease of kind of, the trade license, and I think you mentioned UBID or the GBID, the references and everything. In Bangladesh currently sits around at the 168th place of ease of doing business. And we are talking about the LMI segment of, micro enterprise and how to kind of promote and assist and create the environment for them. And when we are in my work, we're looking at the agriculture sector and we're seeing the next wave will be coming in the areas of food processing or value addition. And we're seeing a lot of kind of small enterprises, micro home-based enterprises trying to kind of innovate and then try to start growing. And they want to comply with the regulatory requirements. So I was really closely related to one of these very innovative startup. And I will share the experience, and I was part of the conversation. So throughout the process of getting the trade license and all the regulatory permits and everything, and then the product was trying to get the BSTI approval and others, right? In every step of the way, they're given this requirement to get the commercial address and other really strict requirements. And if you think about it, it doesn't make sense because you're trying to assist and create the environment for a micro enterprise, not really create hurdles. And I was talking to, really decision makers in those organizations, and we were joking over a small laugh that, like, really, if you ask me to go get a commercial trade license, this is going to increase my baseline cost, my day-to-day cost so much, this is going to be prohibitive for this. So if the central bank or other regulatory regulatory authority or the facilitators have any thought on how we can really work toward making it easier. I know, Haya, you have been commenting on eliminating trade license, but we want to be careful of the fact that I understand why some of these regulatory rules are there. But we need to somehow simplify and make it easier and create this window of incubation period. Like, for 4 years, you don't need trade license. For 4 years, you don't need like the tax waivers or whatever. So if you have any thought on those, thank you very much.
I'm not actually in favor of absolutely eliminating the trade license. I'm saying that if there is a process through which one can get trade license as easy as possible, let's have it, no issues. When you are working in a regulator, the problem is almost all the regulators has a legacy. And legacy is not always a good thing. With the rise of 4IR, with the rise of fintech and other technological innovation, the disruption, unlearning becomes very important. So regulators are not ready to unlearn anything. That's the critical area where regulators need to work. Every regulator has a tradition of going through the process. And the top management, they have actually come through all those things. So whenever you are asking something new, something drastically changed, something which is not they are used to have, it is not easy to convince them because regulators are not ready to unlearn anything. So that's the key area I find many of the time. When I work in the payment systems arena, we have introduced many of things which were not successful at the first attempt. Even we are laughed with the other departments when we are trying to introduce something new. So what we have done, we have tried once, we have failed. And if we tried hard at that time, there was a strong possibility it will not see the light, face of light at any moment of time. So we didn't go for a strong bargain. We let it go. We raised the issue again 6 months later. And then we were expecting that there would be a market demand which will talk in favor of us. The reason in every seminar I talked about the trade license is that I also make other regulators to feel there is a strong demand of the market to ease the process of trade license or to eliminate it. So in the regulators arena, it is already in discussion. We need strong support from EU, all the international donor agencies. We need strong support from Shakti Foundation, all the NGO MFIs. We need strong support from all the participants here. Let's make your voice loud. That is required. And then it would be easier for our life. We can have a strong bargain with our top management. So it is already raised. Now it is your duty to make it loud and clear. Let's have some report in the newspaper. Let's have some meeting with the management. Let's raise your voice to every possible way to the regulators. Not let it in the hand of the regulators and wait someday they will come in sense to do that. Start to talk about that. Try to make it done as quick as possible. So request to you, make your voice clear and loud that it is required for the betterment of the market. Thank you.
So thanks, Jiabhai. I think you have given a lot of homework to a lot of people here. I think it's for all of you to do that, and some with for you also because you are working with V. So probably this is the time to take it up. So I'm so glad to have this such a wonderful panel, and I just want to thank them profusely. But before I finish, I think I want to hear one or two sentences, not more than that, from all of you, excluding regulator because he has already given away. What is the innovation that you are going to see in your respective market? A major disruptive innovation that you want to see. Probably it's on the way or it will take 4 years or 10 years. We don't know for sure, but what is one or two innovation that you want to see in your market? Maybe Imran bhai, you can start on that.
I can tell you what innovation we are trying to do. It's hard for me to say what we are going to see in the market. That's a loaded question. I'll answer it in a different way. One is, of course, we are very excited about our relationship with Bikash. We do think that's going to be a fundamental game changer in our microfinance industry and the local market. So we are cautiously optimistic. So a lot of work is going on over there. So that's one in terms of financial access, financial transactions. The digital divide that has been created between men and women, we are hoping that this will help close some of that. The second one that we are very excited about is, as you know, Shakti has been investing heavily on technology. I'm one of probably the very rare NGOs who have a team of 46 technology people in my organization. But the good news is we have our own ERP. All our microfinance officers, branches there, they use smartphones now. We have become completely paperless, all 504 branches. My client can come today and to the T, we can say by Paisha how much money they will get if they go away today, right? So a lot of transparency. But it's allowing us now to play with customized products, customized tenure, right? Because of the technology piece of it, right? So we are very excited to offer some of the products that we're going to launch next year, which are going to be much more flexible, and see how that works out. I think that's going to be an interesting disruption.
Thanks. Dr. Iman.
So in complement with Imran Bhai, we are working with very challenging folks, but they are the future generation or future leader of agriculture, especially rural youth folks. So government has a political commitment for digital Bangladesh, then to smart Bangladesh. The dilemma we have to translate that we have lots of things we are doing for digital literacy and others to make smart Bangladesh with an analog mindset. So, you know, with the analog mindset, which Jia Bhai mentioned that we have to raise our voice, come to the decision-making table. This is a symbol of analog mindset, and we are also implementing instruments for digital agriculture, digital inclusion, for financial inclusion. We set a very ambitious target that the way I came here, you give me an opportunity. The rural folks, he didn't get this opportunity to come here, but he has the same, even more than my intelligence or our intelligence. They just didn't get the opportunity. So we mainly harnessing this opportunity, your message we convey to them. So please come work together with them. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Umar. Nadia?
Two things for me. So data-driven personalization, there's no more excuse for us to provide plain vanilla products given there's abundance of data and digital footprints available now, which is why I think our alternative credit scoring model is the most exciting thing for me and my team at the moment. And the second thing is collaboration. So in order to service the underserved in a manner that's sustainable and productive, everybody has a role to play, right? No one institution, private or public, could do everything within the value chain. So I think the de-risking of this segment require collaboration, collaborative efforts together with the regulators, public and private.
Thanks. Trang, in case you have some.
So I think what I'm expecting is what the micro businesses and small and medium businesses in Vietnam are expecting. So it will be very helpful if there is a platform where all the information, all the document requirement by the bank or institutional bank or VC or microfinance institution can public with information very transparent. So a business owner can assess and know what kind of document they have to submit, and a support system where they can support the business owner to fill out all the requirement from the bank or from the debt, from the borrower. Yeah.
Thanks. So Jia, I think you have already said so many things. I think probably this is more than enough for it. So let me close this panel in that case, and I again want to thank all my panelists for being such a wonderful speaker here, sharing so much of insight that should help us where we are heading in the future. Just to summarize that, I think what I heard from all of them is that there are changes which are happening. Some changes are very rapid. That we have started seeing them into action. Some others are little tacit. It's taking time, but they will make changes in our lives. And very interestingly, most of these changes are for good, in the sense this is going to help us have better societies, financially healthy societies. People have better financial control with them. That is one. Second is that what I see is that there is a huge opportunity for collaboration, and this is something which Shakti is showing this in the market. And in fact, Nadia also spoke about how do we collaborate in future, because competition is one part of it, and the second part is that how do you compete and collaborate. End of the day, if you want to serve this segment, I don't think that if people are going to compete and they are going to serve this segment, because they are not, it's not easy to serve them, and it's in the best interest of the resources, because In most of our countries, we have limited resources. We don't have unlimited resources. And with these resources, I think collaboration remains the key. And I'm hoping that in some time, with the support of the regulation and support of all of you, we will have a resolution available for trade license. There's just one small example. It comes to my mind is that, in fact, in India, we don't have that kind of specific problem. But to get people onto a single platform, government has created a portal which is known as Udyam portal. And through this Udyam portal, if someone comes and registers with limited KYC, with some set of KYC, they get an ID, and this ID can serve them as entrepreneur ID. So that is how it can be used, and probably there are maybe better examples around the world that how do we disrupt the current process, or can you strengthen the legacy process? I think I leave it to all of you, including practitioners and regulators. With that, again, thank you very much. Thank you all the audience for being here and listening to us patiently. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a very interesting panel discussion, and my key takeaways definitely was that in all the three countries, the panels representing Bangladesh, Malaysia, and Vietnam, we have similar financial inclusion constraints that we need to solve together. And as a Bangladeshi, I'm very happy to hear that if Bangladesh Bank is thinking that we're going to solve our trade license problems, we will definitely be solving it in the future. So that's really good. Thank you so much. So this will be the last, we're coming towards the very end. And I would like to invite our associate partner at MSC, Mr. Akshant, to come and give this closing speech, after which we will go for lunch. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Akshat Pathak. I'm an associate partner with MSC. I've also been managing the country program for Vietnam. Please believe Faiza when she says I'm the last person between you and lunch. So there will be no more presentations or discussions. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being part of our event today, for taking out time from your busy schedules and braving the weather in the morning. So we would like to express our deep gratitude towards your presence. It made our event successful. So thank you for coming and joining us. It was a pleasure to have Zia Bhai from Bangladesh Bank and to learn about the initiatives that the government of Bangladesh and the bank have undertaken over the last couple of years, during the pandemic and after the pandemic, especially. I mean, these initiatives like the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, the RFFO, Digital Bangladesh and Smart Bangladesh, I think they're very important from the point of view of including the masses in mainstream financial services. And I think a lot has been said today on the forum, and let's see how the situation folds out. We would also like to thank our special guests, Ala Ahmed sir from MetLife, Anil Chaudhary sir from A2I, Nisha ma'am from V Forum, Selim sir from Bragg Bank, and Lynn from V4 for sharing their vision, experiences, as well as their insights on how digital technology can actually fast-track financial inclusion, not only for the masses, but also for the currently underserved segments. We would also like to thank our panelists from Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Malaysia for sharing their incredible and valuable insights on how do we build the financial resilience and how do we improve the financial health for the people who have been vulnerable, who have been left out, and who have not been in the mainstream focus of the financial service providers, and still make the business profitable, right? So thank you so much for sharing the valuable insights. We would also like to thank the MetLife Foundation for their generous support and their guidance, which has helped us to make an impact on the financial health of 13 million people in Bangladesh and Vietnam. Without this, I think it would not have been possible for MSC and for our partners to think alike and make a positive impact as we go forward. And lastly, I would like to thank our country teams from Bangladesh and from Vietnam for organizing such an event. I know a lot of hard work has gone into it, and thank you so much for playing the different roles that you have. So thank you, everyone, and lunch is open now.